Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Happy Friday. I'm so glad it's Friday. I hope you are too. I'm just like, thank goodness. Took the whole week to get here, but it's finally here. I'm just ready. I'm ready for Friday. Oh, gotta get my blanket. A little chilly at the moment. Let's see. Oh. But we have wine, and that'll definitely warm me up. So, but yeah. Y'all ready to roll some marbles? Hmm? You ready to get on the track? Hi. Yes. Yes. Hack ready? Good, good, good. I'm glad you got your hacks ready. You got your boost ready. You got your marbles polished and shined. You guys ready for all the shenanigans? I know I am. I am. I got my ears. I just have to put my ears on. Tessie! Welcome to the stream. Alright, guys. Oh, let's see. Batcat, welcome, welcome. Gonna adjust this frame a little bit real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Welcome all, Michigan, with a watch stream streak of 3. Thank you, Michigan. Oh my gosh, there's so many people. Welcome. I know. I was like, oh, welcome, guys. We are live. Huh? Too loud already on a Friday? Is there such a thing? Play-Doh. Cheers. It's Friday. It's Friday. All right, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. No drama llamas. Yeah, I don't know if Pepper's in here or not. All right, guys. Let's go. Yeah. Shaki, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, we're gonna start these races. Exclamation play if you want in. Let's go. There's 59 seconds on the clock, and there's no sound command, so I'm just gonna have to improvise and make my own. What does this sound like? There you go. Not sure what that sounded like on stream. There you go. It's probably super loud. So you can hear it. Cool. Thank you so much for redeeming Snorlax hat. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's go. There's also a yeah, there's no roar. I can't roar. Rawr. I gotta make the sound effects tonight because there's no bot. Rawr. So whatever gets redeemed, I have to do. That sounds kind of fun, actually. Let's see. That face, though. Oh. Look at that. Look at Jamie. Already got his hacks on. Yeah. Just a little bit. See, properties. Oh. Next man.
Oh Jesus, he really sitting over there all pooty hooty hoot. Gosh. Whatever. I'm done with it.
It's not our problem.
Oh, I forgot the copy and paste. Oh no, I gotta type it
again. Yeah, you gotta type it manually.
That's such a long thing to type.
Exclamation play! Get your marble on the track! Exclamation play, guys! Play! Let's go. Race starts in 51 seconds. Looking cool, Shocky. Looking cool. Paw print. Looks good. And Battle Cat with the chickadee marble. Desi with smiley. Lady Rain's on fire. Dreams is feeling blue. Welcome, Dreams.
I went.
Zebra is classic white.
I went too soon, so I had to.
Hey.
There's Michigan.
Am I not on the table? Okay.
The classic white. There's Splits with an angry bull marble.
I just went.
It didn't used to be that. It used to be the fluffy sheep. I don't know what happened.
Texas 8. I don't know.
No, dude, 13 used to be the sheep.
I probably changed them around. I occasionally swap out some skins and change things around, so no telling.
I just stick with it because it's lucky 13 for me. I don't know.
I think somebody told me too that the 8-ball should be on the 8.
Dude, that's the fastest.
8-ball should be on the 8. That is true.
We'll have to fix that after we get through all these races. I can adjust things. Yeah, it was.
Oh no!
You blink, it's over, man.
We're still circling.
We're all following each other.
Y'all are just watching slowly. It's not fast. You're watching slow. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Welcome, Crowley. Welcome everyone to the stream. Welcome. Thank you for playing and happy Friday.
Is there 17 balls?
No, I think it only goes up to 13.
No, there is 17. Look at me.
So cool.
You didn't know what it was, but you just randomly did it.
I just randomly did it.
Testing. Hello there.
Welcome.
What's up, brother?
A very angry ball tonight.
What's up, man?
Let's go.
Happy to see you.
You sound loud. Yeah. We got you though. Alright.
Probably under the weather.
Is it too loud for me tonight? No worries, Rain. No worries.
Bought myself a early Christmas present.
Turtle Beach, yeah.
Oh, Turtle Beach. Was that $500?
How much?
500?
No.
40 seconds. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
250?
Wiggles, don't be mad at me.
Around it.
But please don't be mad at me. But your previous mic sounded better. Maybe it's just settings. Could be settings.
Yeah, I literally just plugged it in
Out of the box.
So I'll I'll
We'll
mess with
work
the
on it
settings
later.
and shit tomorrow.
He
Okay.
sounds more
there
clear
is-
than me.
Okay, what kind of mics do you guys prefer? Just curious. Sometimes I think about
How do I
upgrading.
sound?
So the intention is that I'm going to I'm moving my office this weekend.
Oh.
So the intention
gonna be
is
weird.
that I'm going to use my Blue Yeti. I have
Yeah, I have a
my
Blue
boom
Yeti.
mic here.
Yeah.
I just don't use it right now.
Astros are pretty good.
Yeah, I have A50s, but I do not like
How-
like them.
I work
How
at
do
the
I
DMV.
sound? Nobody's ever
Sound-
told me. How do I sound?
All right.
You sound good.
You sound. I never heard you sound any other way, so you sound that way.
You sound like you're supposed to
Does it
sound, if that
sound
makes
bad?
sense. You sound like you. And not a lot of. I don't hear any
Does it
background
sound
noise or
bad?
anything like that. You sound.
Do y'all
Mine in
pick
the
up
chat
a lot
is-
of background noise?
No, not at all. We only hear your voice
work
and
at
it
the
doesn't
DMV.
skip, so you're doing good.
All right, sweet.
I have GeForce 32s are what I'm using right now. Or GeForce
I'd
32.
say get an
I just
audio
have
interface with
Logitech.
an XLR input and get just a standard M35
Open again.
Shure mic for $35.
Like
Oh, you have
seriously, it's
Logitech,
hard to
too.
beat that.
I'm open because I feel like I've used this mic for so long. I've replaced the cord 3 times.
KimonoKat has Logitech too.
I'm so done with Blue
Oh,
Yeti
it's
because
pretty
yeah,
clear.
the cord problem and like
Yeah, that's
It eats
everything else that
cords.
goes with the USB mics. Yeah.
Well, that
Always the
and
cord that
my
goes.
problem is that when I get loud, it's skipping out. But that could be some of my settings. But I feel like
Oh,
it
yeah,
just
you might
doesn't.
need to change.
That is your setting.
Everything I play with
Gauge
my
might be
settings,
tweaked.
every guide I follow, everything I do, it just doesn't work for my voice, and I don't know why.
Let's talk about that another time because I could help you. I
Okay.
know a little bit about audio.
Yeah, I mean, I've had several people sit
You and
through and
me
I'll try
both,
something for a
so-
while and
so-
it'll work for a while and then it won't. I
But,
mean,
like, legit, like I said in that comment, an XLR input to your computer, and then just get a regular Shure. I think I misspelled Shure. Whatever.
exclamation please. I know which one you're talking about though. I'm not sure how it's
Yeah,
spelled either.
You get the
Feel
standard
bad.
stage mic, and it's better than anything people sell for $300+.
Yeah.
Don't buy that crap. Don't buy it.
Yeah,
Kimono, do you have like anything covering your
I
actual
do.
mic?
I do.
Just
She
the
got a
basic
wool
like
sock.
cover.
I have a white
That's it?
fuzzy. A white
She changed
fuzzy.
her s- she changed
white
the sock
fuzzy
every day.
cubby.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that doesn't
A white
work
fuzzy
very
cover. I used to do the
Oh,
front
yeah, that's
thing and all
awesome.
that, but it really doesn't
well.
matter.
It's good, but
It just cuts out when I laugh or
That's
scream,
mostly for the
which is the
wind.
fun parts of
Pop-
stream when
yeah.
I get scared.
For
And
pop,
you can't
need a
hear
screen
it.
in front of it.
I did the pop screen for a while. It just
She always
didn't
has
help.
a
You
So-
don't need a pop screen. From what you just said, pop, and I didn't hear like an extreme.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that's not what it means.
No, it is.
No,
though,
I heard
because
pop.
It's
you
like
do-
the
No,
spitting
it's
on the
not.
mic. Part of it is.
It means if you peak it,
Yeah.
like you're screaming. Is you
Thank you
pop.
so much for the
the-
sub. Thank you,
the-
thank you, thank you,
Oh,
thank
that's
you.
a peak.
That's the pop screen.
No, the pop screen.
Thank you, Six. Welcome to the
Screen,
stream.
To type in
That's what I said. Is the
Joffrey,
screen.
welcome. Exclamation play, guys.
I
You get
said scream by
27
accident.
seconds to get your marble on the track. 27
No, that's
seconds.
what it is. It's a pop
Hurry,
screen.
hurry, hurry.
Is yeah, pop. A pop screen
Yeah, for ha.
is S's. and
Welcome all,
P's,
welcome, welcome.
But it's not meant for screams. And
Okay, I didn't say that. I think
Either
we.
or, she has her window open all the time, so the wind just goes flying in.
What?
we don't hear the wind though.
We also
I don't
hear
have the
pop
It was a
or-
joke, like she has the
I
window.
don't have the window open. Literally, it's like when I get
Anyway,
scared and I
let's talk
scream,
about-
it'll mess up. Or
it's
sometimes just
her-
when I talk, it'll.
Her scale.
Yeah,
It's your scale.
Yeah, and I'll play with all those settings, and sometimes it's fine. But the way my voice is if I tone it to where you get background noise, then you can hear me and it doesn't cut out. If I tone it to where you don't hear background noise, then I cut out. It's just like
Can you do
annoying.
If we get your
There's
proper
a way to
audio
fix it.
set up with XLR, we can get you noise gates and everything else.
Yeah, see, I've
It's
tried all
doable. It's doable.
those. Yeah, it's just a pain. And everybody says Yeti is hard to balance all the noise gates and everything
It's
like that.
not.
Yetis are garbage. I hate to say it, but they are. I'm using one right now. I hate it.
I mean, I've always used it,
It's meant for like a group thing, right?
but I don't know.
Many
And it
They
never
always
used to
said
cut
made
out.
money.
Well, here's the other thing. It didn't cut out like this before.
Well, like,
So I don't know if it's just
that's
getting
what I
older.
meant is a group is like it's meant for like a podcast.
No,
Yeah.
I meant is to make money for a company, not a group.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
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 there's-
yeah. I stopped using my Yeti like
We have.
first year that I started streaming.
Oh, look
so-
at the lead. We have Joffrey
I'm
and
still using
Shocky
mine
fighting
because
for
I
the
paid
lead,
so much
followed
for it,
by
I wanna get
Tex
some
and
money out of it.
Splints.
How much? Did you
money
pay
comes
per
out of
year?
it.
Well, I have a.
I
have the
mean,
Blue
that would be a
Yeti
good mic
Black
if money
Edition,
comes out
and
of
I
it.
paid like I don't know, dude. It was stupid.
Does it like
Couldn't
shoot
get
out
my
dollar
mic
bills?
today.
I paid like
I
90
wish my
bucks
mic
for
did
my
that.
mic.
Right?
Is yours a
So-
Yeti or just the?
It's
Snowball or
the,
something.
The Blue Yeti. Yeah.
A Blue Yeti? Well, maybe you got it on discount because I don't even want to. I'm too embarrassed.
Well,
It's-
this was way back like when we first met, and I was streaming.
that's what I'm saying.
Go, go,
So-
go! Look at Joffrey!
And
Wiggles leading up the back of the
I
pack,
stopped
making sure
using
nobody
it
gets
when
left
my-
behind. We have
I think mine was
Joffrey,
like 100
Shocky,
plus,
Tex,
and it's not even worth
Splits.
that.
They don't keep up with the drivers. That's
Go, 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 guys, go! GG, Joffrey, GG. Alright, next lap. We have Boost Carefree Lake. Go, Jack, go, right? Go, 6, go! Alright, guys, next race. Exclamation play to get in. Let's go. We're gonna start with 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute on the
You said
clock,
you get
guys.
a
Exclamation
proper
play.
XLR
1 minute
input.
on the clock.
And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
good. You can
Dude.
buy.
45 seconds. This is a really pretty track. I love the colors. It's very bright and peaceful, and the clouds are poofy. I mean, I think clouds are supposed to be poofy, though. Thank you all for playing. Click, click, click. Oh, your pretty selves. Looky, looky, looky. We're up to 12 marbles. Let's go.
All the marbles have rolled.
Go!
oh, I didn't
Oh,
like
that got on
pay
there.
attention.
But
So I'm not even in that race.
It's good to see my mom again. That's good.
Right?
Your mom.
Go me. Go me. I'm in the raid.
I'm the favorite son, actually. Sorry, John. But
So Tex, what's
Wait,
your
I think
mom's
actually
gamer
that was-
name? What are we gonna go with? Online name. Oh, he's muted. So
Well, no,
She
they're
ne-
discussing it. Hold on.
yeah, she needs an
No,
online
well,
name.
no, we were discussing something else, but
What?
we
I
can.
don't know a gamer name. I don't have a gamer name. I don't play. I only play solitaire.
Well, if you
Tigger.
want to be anonymous,
gonna
what would
put
you
there.
prefer to go by?
It's her online
she-
name.
She loved Tigger.
Tigger.
Tigger?
Tigger. Oh, that's so
Tigger.
cool. Mama Tex, it's Tigger. That was cute too, 6. So that was cute too.
Tigger. I've got a tattoo of him on my bum.
It's better to bounce. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna keep my mouth. Oh, better to bounce around with. I don't know.
Keep it going. We love it.
I love it. Yes.
I love
Literally,
John's face.
You're part of my
Uh,
family now. It's all good.
I love John's
Yes.
face. He's so embarrassed. I can
if
see
I
it in his
know,
face.
gotta
yeah.
make sure others cheer for you. Tex.
Oh, cheers.
I'm not embarrassed, but you could have saved that.
Tex.
Oh,
Alright.
Tex. Don't worry about it.
Cheers.
It's just your mom's
It's all
bump.
good.
It's
Tex.
family. It's
I'm not cute no more. Why are you not cute no more, Six? What do you mean? What do you mean? We have Splints in the lead, followed by Michigan, Lady Rain, Battlecat, Desi, Cat, Six, Dreams, Dreamweaver, Crowley, Joffrey, Wiggles, Tex. Let's go. Oh. Let's go.
mistake.
Congratulations, Mr. Splints with
Wait, let me
first
see.
place.
I was
Split
winning
cheeks.
and you passed me.
Look at that.
Followed
angry
by
ball
Michigan
getting in
and
there
Battlecat.
Wow, you suck.
first.
Alright, guys.
Suck, I'm sorry.
Next race
This
is
is
loading.
sorry. Why do you suck so bad? Hey, I
Let's
was the first
go.
loser, so that means I was
Exclamation
suck.
play.
No,
Oh. Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track, guys. Exclamation play. Let's go. We're going to start the clock now with 60 seconds. Let's go. Oh, I see 10 of us. There's 2 more. Let's go. Oh, I hit start twice. 2 people didn't get in. Dang it, I hit it too fast. No, it started twice. I'm so bad. I'm so bad.
So with 20 skins,
So I don't think it wraps around. So
I don't know
20
who-
is probably nothing.
I don't
so
know
you
who got
probably
left
get default
behind.
balls.
That was on me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the white ball.
Hit it too fast.
I'm
Oh
so
my
white, man.
gosh.
Hit it too
Ew.
fast. Oh,
No,
6.
no,
Yeah.
I'm
You
actually
dirty
not
boy.
white. I'm
You
not
like the
white.
hat?
I'm not white.
You like the hat? You like the hat? I think it's so cute. I also have if you guys haven't seen the photos yet, I have a new Eevee onesie as well. The hat is very cute. Thank you, Crowley. Thank you. Yes. 6 always. You're cute. Oh my gosh. Thank you, lady. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I don't know what's going on right now. I don't either. Just things, stuff, people, places. Go Michigan! Go Crowley! The Battlecat's gonna take the shortcut. Is he gonna take the shortcut? We've got Michigan and Battlecat. Oh, there we go. Yep. Nope. Yep. It's gonna be Michigan. And Crowley. Followed by Liddy. And Battlecat. I'm trying to woo Mono. That's what's happening. Oh my.
Fired.
Lady Rain says she's trying to woo me. That's what's happening.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hacks. Straight up hacks.
Wait, I haven't even gotten to the finish line yet? Where
Win
am I?
kimono, straight up hacks.
Of course, always
Where
a
did I
hack.
get lost?
You gotta do
I don't know
exclamation
where I got
hacks to get
lost,
ready for the
because I
next
can't
one. An
spell.
exclamation
there.
boost.
Oh, there I am.
Exclamation rig.
After me.
You gotta rig these things up and get them ready.
Like the exact same path too. Like
I think we're waiting on 2 people. We're waiting on me and 6.
6.
I'm not. What?
Where's 6 at? There he is.
5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6. Sorry.
It might help if I turn slow mode off.
I'm
We're
gonna
going
change my
so
wax
slow.
up.
Wax, oh my
Michigan was
gosh.
last.
He's gonna wax off then wax.
Michigan was first. Crowley, Lady, Battlecat, Desi, Wiggles. Let's go. Next race.
Here we are.
And I decided to let you all win, so I just
Oh,
stayed off
did
the
you?
board,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Exclamation play before I accidentally hit start
Hey,
twice.
maybe steal my number.
I
with
might
it.
change
Maybe
my
steal my
ball
number.
to
Okay.
Oh, I
marble.
still popped up with 25. So
No, I
Let's
sometimes they
go,
say
let's
play
go.
69.
Yes, guys, get your marble on the track. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Exclamation play. 40 seconds on the clock. We have Lady, Zebra, Michigan, Battlecat, Desi, Splints, Tex, Wiggles, Cat, Shucky, and Dreamweaver. Oh, and there's Crowley! There we go. Let's see. Michigan, don't be kissing people in chat, I tell you.
No, I'm gonna say kiss.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
weird.
okay, kiss me. Oh, it is
Well,
weird
me
now
as
that the
me-
command's not there. That makes it really
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, you can, let's see. Trying to remember, what was the other one we added the other day? We added a couple of them. Special. We had artsy, that's
I'm
right.
19% special. I remember.
Oh, it was tacos! Guys, if you want to know how many tacos you had for dinner, exclamation tacos.
Oh, hell yeah.
Alright, no tacos.
Wait a minute. That's
The lady
Well,
has
tacos
decided to
with
eat
S.
90 carne asada tacos. You were really hungry. I'm just saying, you were really, really,
not as
really
hungry as
hungry.
the lady. Yeah, I'm not as hungry.
I like how on this track
What,
it's so dark. All you see glowing is my halo. I like it.
I mean,
Hey.
coming from Scotland, I don't really know many places that do tacos unless we're in the city.
We're all
How many
hiding.
tacos do you reckon you could
Do
fucking...
you have fish tacos?
I eat like 3.
Nothing.
I love
52
tacos.
and 22 would be
Tacos.
insane.
Nowhere.
I know I can't
does
say no.
tacos.
Points where you could eat the last 2 bites of your sub sandwich. Ooh, a sub sandwich sounds yummy.
How many tacos do you reckon you could fucking
A sub sandwich.
wrestle?
Mm.
Like
All of
if
them.
you went
Special,
and
there's
you were hungry,
tacos.
if you were hungry, how many tacos do you reckon you could fucking like see away?
All of them.
Oh
And
no.
is it so-
Most
is it
I could
soft-
probably
is
eat would be
soft shell?
5 if I hadn't
Is
eaten
it
like
soft
all
shell,
day.
or is it like hard shell fucking
All of them.
Soft.
taco chacos? Them ones. Like the fucking
We may have had some hacks here. Just saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you won, definitely.
Pyong.
how many do you reckon you could wrestle?
I don't know. All depends on the size and all that stuff.
I mean, I'm like fucking maybe like 3 or 4 inches.
Alright, you guys see nothing. No hacks. No nothing. Nothing. I'll catch Pikachu if you want Pikachu. Also, exclamation play to get your marble on the track.
Come
Oh
on.
yeah, you
Hacks emote to make all the hacks.
100%.
30.
Let's go, guys! Exclamation play! Hurry, hurry,
That would
hurry!
be cool, like or even like.
Yeah, because I have
Oh,
Riot, but I
Cinco?
don't have
Is
hacks.
that what's going on?
What would you do? Just like the word hacks as an emote, or would it be like?
Nah,
How would you
it should
symbolize
be-
that?
It should be like a little computer.
Rex! Oh my gosh! Long time no see. I hope life is treating you awesome, Rex.
Computer.
I hope you're doing good. Welcome, guys. 19 seconds. 19 seconds on the clock. Let's see. There we go. Let's go. Oh, I forgot. I guess that's not working right now. I might have to do it the Twitch way. How do you do that? Is it shout out? I don't know. Aha. There we go. I'll figure it out. My other bot's being a pain right now, so. Oh, we got it. Next leg, next leg. Right? Bots won't let me do what I want to do at all.
Like, this is our stream.
Well, let me guess what goes. You're gonna go 11 as well.
Alright, guys. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Let's go.
I've gone 11 the entire time.
Hey,
gonna
it's
go
the
with the
mouse.
Somehow.
It's the big mouse.
You're 11.
Kimono.
Looks better than my 11.
Oh, somebody really loved this shape. Oh, that's pretty. And it changes color.
I do like that. The
Alright,
map
guys.
looks
30
fucking
seconds.
incredible.
30 seconds to get your marble on the track. Welcome, Shane. Welcome to the stream. Happy Friday.
Kimono,
Got it
before
in.
it starts, can you pan around just to like the map? Because I know
Yeah.
people, like
It's
different
all
colors.
bubbly.
It looks cool.
It's all bubbles.
You
Yeah.
got that rainbow.
Wait,
fucking
why do
going
they
on.
always look? Okay, never mind. I'll
Yeah.
keep that to myself.
Yes, keep that to
Might go up.
yourself.
Keep that to yourself. No, mine's like
Don't
Easter.
even keep that to
Mine's good.
yourself.
Also looks cool.
Every one of these levels, I swear, they all start out looking like, you know what, and then
Yeah.
Like a rainbow.
It's about who finishes first. Why not?
the
No.
age-old question is it.
Story of my life.
Oh, Wiggles
I
starts
want
off in the lead. Go, Wiggles.
Hello?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hello?
Go, go, go.
Okay, I'm getting down the
Oh.
tubes first. Watch out now. I'm so far
So what'd you play
behind.
last, Rikes? What'd you play?
Your tail is a
Did you
little
play
tiny.
some-
How much have you donated?
Minecraft. Probably. Aw. Are you missing it? It's been a bit though, yeah. That's okay. You stream when you can, you know? You play games when you can. We'd like to play every day and every week, but that's just not always possible. Oh. Okay. Uh-huh. Let's see. Alright, we're gonna watch Wiggles, because I think he's truly in the lead. Even though he is not, he's in the lead. Panic! Panic and run. Panic and run, panic and run. Wiggles is panicking. Tex is trying to steal the lead from him. He's hit the panic button. No, it's Tex still in the lead. Oh. Morning. You guys, it's nighttime. It's probably morning for you guys, though. It's probably like getting on close to 1 o'clock or 2. So it's definitely morning. Wee early morning. They're over here morning,
Probably
morning,
one
morning.
of my favorite things from San Antonio.
Morning.
These are a few
Morning,
of my
morning.
favorite things.
Chat is crazy today. As always. It's
I
great.
remember
It's alright.
waking up.
We haven't reached Dirty Birdie status yet, so we're doing
No,
okay.
we're doing pretty good.
Tiny
We're doing
window
okay,
jerseys
Can
and
I have a
little
noise if I
videos
win
of
it?
morning.
If I win, can I have a
These
morning?
are a few of my
Morning.
Morning.
Won't in text,
Sorry.
I was right in bed
So,
when I got
Uh,
it. I'm feeling the same pain.
I think lady sent me that sound command. That file
I
too.
bet it got you out of bed though.
Tex with
I
the
was
win.
just thinking
GG
about this the other
No,
day.
it's
Tex.
just like,
Oh.
shit, I need to sleep more.
On to race number. What race are we on? 10?
Unbelievable.
Nico, Nico,
Yeah, yeah.
nee.
Dash.
Drug
Always
test.
do it.
Welcome to the stream. Welcome,
John needs
welcome,
to,
welcome.
text
Nika,
needs to
Nika,
be
Nika,
drug test.
nee. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Exclamation play, guys. If you're joining the race,
Not happy.
exclamation play.
I was thinking about this earlier on.
You
where
don't help me in there.
If I
Well, the
went
kimono,
to the
the
state,
Yeah.
kimono.
what
Go,
would
go,
I
go.
do that would be
3
standing?
seconds on the clock.
Te-
40 seconds. We have 13 marbles on the track. Happy Friday. Let's go. We have Tex and Shane and Wiggles and Lady and Desi and Cat and Dreams and Battlecat and Crowley and Dash and Splunts and Michigan. Let's go. Oh my. What? Oh, they're off. They're off. They're climbing. But yeah, cheers, guys. Cheers. So, how was everyone's week?
I can,
Oh,
but I
Did I
won't.
Never
How
been
was your
Saturday,
week?
by the
Over.
way.
Glad it's over. Me
I know
too.
what you imply.
So glad. Oh,
Yeah.
now I'm like beating on my desk here.
Your what?
Look
Your
at you
desk?
two
doing
with
what?
her hat. and
My
everything.
chair hit it.
Gosh.
What?
Y'all so
Dreams,
pretty.
I heard the same
Aw.
thing. I heard the same thing.
Yo,
What's that?
Battlecat posted an AI picture of us with fucking Cheech. Why is there a baby at the other side of the table, though?
We don't talk about that.
Random child.
Yeah, I posted
Where?
that.
Oh, never mind.
So I think I'm the guy in the center.
It's like when you're
next to
playing
Cheech in
Stardew.
the back.
Random
Is
child
that
just
right?
shows up.
I think
Oh
I
my
don't know.
goodness, that is so weird.
All right. It's getting hot. Yeah. Is Shane in the lead? Is Dreams in the lead? I think Dreams is. I don't know. It's so confusing with this track, you can't tell. I think it's Desi. I think it's Desi. I thought it was hot already. Oh yeah? Yes. Purple cat ears, thank you. Purple cat ears, got it. GG Jesse, GGG. Man, you need to calm down. I don't know how to calm down. I don't know how to calm down. It's Friday. I'm so glad it's Friday. Yeah, cheers. Cheers to not calming down. And not even having, I don't even have water at my desk. What is going on here? Yes. Cheers. I want a sandwich. I blame Lady Rain in Michigan. I totally want a sub sandwich now. Alright. Dazzy, look at all those points. Get in there, get in there. Next leg. Let's go. Exclamation play. Alright, guys, let's go. $50 seconds, 50 seconds. Rawr. Wiggles! Such a pretty kitty cat.
Yeah.
Welcome,
It's like you feed
welcome to
me,
the
so I guess
team.
you can hug me.
I ain't seen my cats for a bit.
I know, I hate to
I'm
say cats. Yeah.
What?
I wanna.
Oh, but welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, that's a huge sandwich. I need all those sandwiches. Y'all are making me so hungry right now. I had some noodles before stream. I had some. I did. I had some noodles, but now I'm hungry already. Bet you do. I do. You're making me munchy. Oh, really now? How so? Do tell. It's empty. That's a problem. It's empty. Help. Send help. Num 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 num. Yeah. Don't make me end stream and go get a sub sandwich. That would be terrible.
Oh,
Everybody brings a
nice.
different-
How did your potluck go, Wiggles? How did
What
your...
did you bring?
Oh, awesome.
Did you
Here,
make
hold on,
it?
I'll post some pictures in chat.
Oh, I'm ready to
Did
see
you
some
make what you
food
brought?
pics. Food pics.
The only reason I ask is because every time I used to bring something that I made from scratch, all my coworkers would be like, "Oh, did your girlfriend make that?" And I'm like, "No."
Oh, that's so
I made it."
rude.
No,
What the hell?
I made the turkey and I
You
brought
get my
stuffing.
You
Oh,
made the
okay.
turkey and brought stuffing. Mmm.
Hell
Poke
yeah.
catch guys of catching Pokemon. Ghastly appeared. Poke catch
Oh, I
Yeah,
Ghastly.
the boss, I have to bring the turkey.
She bring the main course. My boss does that. She brings the main course, and she always brings us a giant tray of Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. It's so good. It's so good though.
Why are we talking
Love
about
it.
this? Are we trying to?
Wiggles, GG! Congrats, Wiggles!
Hell
All
yeah.
right, on to the next race. Let's
It's
go.
crazy I had to ask that because I used to get asked all the time, like, "Oh, did your wife make this?" And I'm like, "Dude, first of all,
I
I'm a
made it.
girlfriend.
Not rigged,
Second
it's
of all,
totally
I made
rigged.
this."
Exclamation play.
No.
All right, start. $60. Let's go. All right, once we get through these races, we're on race 12 and we have 15 to go and we get the podium winner. Then we're going to take a quick break and I'm going to refill my drink. And should I get water or no? Should I get some water? I hear you. I hear wine has water in it. I hear wine has water in it. Oh, Ghastly has been caught by Cat and Splits. If you have to think about drinking water, then you need water. That's true. I didn't bring it in here. I always bring water in here. But I didn't today. I messed up. Maybe. Wine does have water in it. Uh-huh. Oh, where are we at? What is going on with this truck? Drink more water. I have nothing. I have nothing to drink. I don't even have wine. It's empty. I'm gonna have to redeem. I'm gonna have to hold that thought. I'm gonna have to hold that thought. Oh gosh.
Wiggles won again.
I'm not magical. I
This is-
can't
yeah.
turn water into
Yeah, yeah.
wine.
What's wrong with the
I can turn
university?
water into wine. It just takes a little while.
I know what you mean.
Okay.
Just drink more wine.
How do
Wine
we get
makes
out of
I can turn water
here?
into beer too, or vodka.
Chong.
Wine makes the water.
Again, it just
We're
takes
trying to
time.
catch up to
Wine
Shane
makes the
before he
water.
gets to the end, but I don't know if we'll make it. Winner
Let's
is
go
Wiggles.
watch Shane.
GG.
Oh no!
Congrats, Wiggles.
Heck, Wiggles.
Followed by Rex, Cat, who are the hacks, Dreams, Michigan. Let's go.
Yeah, I reckon Kimono needs more wine.
I know, that's
Lubrication
why
for
I
the
said-
nation.
I need more wine. Am I not
Lubrication for the nation.
Well, you
not
hold
doing
on,
good
you
enough
asking
here?
Us about wine. You know
I don't know what
that's
you're
the
talking about.
question or the answer.
60 seconds on the clock. Let's go! Exclamation play.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to use a different
Yes.
ball. I'm gonna use the 8-ball.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Is that a
Thank you for
recording
your
of you doing that?
attention To this man. No, she just did that.
No.
Literally,
It's
she
her
just
voice.
did it.
She got
Yeah, I
those-
just leaned into the
so,
mic.
Okay.
Wait, you can't turn on that voice?
No.
Okay,
No.
I mean, I could do that.
I'm watching
No,
the
I mean
stream,
he.
so the stream is
X.
behind.
Okay.
So it didn't line up. I'm like, what the hell?
Yes, Daddy.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
retarded. Ignore me.
Welcome to
Yes,
Aperture
Daddy.
Labs.
Ooh.
Oh, whoa. Excuse me, miss.
Whoa.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hell.
That was just a
Trying to
sound
get
command.
Oh, that was just a number I pressed on my stream.
Welcome, Chuck.
How
I
could
blame my
ever get a point
mods.
to this game?
My mods are the most deviant people here. You should know that by now. Mods are
How can I
deviants.
get a point to this game?
I'm not even a mod.
Exclamation 69.
Who did that?
6-7.
Oh.
Get out.
More
Look
wine.
at you guys.
More
Go, go,
wine.
go!
More wine. More wine.
Get out, Wiggles.
I don't have
Fuck
any.
I am
It's in
not
the
a deviant.
fridge.
I'm sorry, lady, but
Not a deviant. How rude!
It's in the fridge.
And a lady
Wanna leave it there?
appears from the
Oh
chat
my God, you
to
guys
defend
stop
her
it.
honor.
You should read books.
I start a poll.
Oh, I
Oh,
will
I
be
can't.
devil's
Oh
advocate.
my. Oh my.
No, you only
Lady
can be
could
on the
start a poll if you ask her to. Or 6.
Well, lady
But I don't know
is
what kind of poll
always
you
on
want.
poll, or on the poll. Sorry.
Go me.
Water,
More wine.
wine.
I'm so glad the stream
More
can't
and more
see my
wine.
face right now.
Water, wine, and more wine. We need a poll for water, wine, or I don't know.
More wine.
Poll.
We can do
Or all
apple
of
cider,
both.
which is just apple juice, but yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, it's only apple
It's water.
juice. You don't
Water
stick
or
it in the
wine.
freezer
It's
and
actually
put it
just
in the
non-alcoholic
fridge.
apple cider that's in my fridge. So we could do apple juice, wine,
Nope.
or water.
Greco, Shane, I don't
I
know.
turn around for a second. What's
I don't know.
happening? We need a poll for a wine, water,
Stop it.
or apple
Or more
cider.
wine.
Water or cider.
Getting wax.
No, cider is non-alcoholic.
It's
That's
not.
2 non-alcoholic to 1
know.
alcoholic. No.
I only have
it's
one
water,
alcoholic
wine,
in the
more
house.
Wine. Those are the only 2
Wine, more wine, and water. Okay.
I mean, cider can
I'm
have
with the Wiggle.
alcohol.
No, yeah,
When do we
more
go?
wine, more.
What about
more
orange
wine,
juice? I
more
have
milk.
orange juice.
I got it.
Wine
Right.
or alcoholic wine.
I could make a
I like
sangria.
cider, Kimono. Oh,
That-
chalk up
That
fairies for
is the
that.
best idea
Fuck
ever.
yes.
That's like
And-
Hell
extra
yeah.
water with vitamins.
Yes,
I
water
like
with
fucking
vitamins.
sangria, no problem.
Sangria.
Home and safe.
And wine.
Sangria,
Oh, yeah.
wine, or water.
Yeah,
Oh,
those are good choices.
Sangria
needs
all-
water?
sangria-
You can have
Sorry,
water
Missy,
if
sangria
you want.
all
you're
the
getting
way.
waxed.
Man,
Carly!
I'll
fucking-
GG, Carly! Woohoo!
I'll
All
fuck
right.
with the sangria,
Up
no problem.
next
confused.
is lap number
It's
14.
Next.
Congrats, Carly. BattleCat splints on the points there. Let's go. Bongo Rolling
There you go, last
Wonder.
round, 14. Going downhill.
All right.
Well,
Exclamation play.
Wiggles
We're getting
turns off his
close.
hacks.
Bingo.
Okay. And then
I went on vacation with Domingo.
60 seconds on the clock. Let's go.
fuck.
You
can't
act like
do
I
that.
don't know what that is.
Exclamation. I can't do that. It just fucking exclamation. No, it just brings you on a different channel.
All right, 6. Are you
Never
setting up a
mind.
poll? Lady Rain, are you setting up a poll?
You
Somebody?
need to take your mouth away from that
setting
mic.
up
It's
a
fucking
poll.
too sensational.
Okay, guys.
I got
What
it.
I
mods
mean-
are on a poll?
I mean, the Yeti can work pretty good when I use it properly.
I want a yay.
You need
I
to,
want a yay.
you need to read a book.
I'm sorry,
that
did
way.
I just say that in a row? Don't stop and then laugh. Okay. Yep.
I'm trying to, it's
stop.
not letting me. Oh, dang. I wonder why.
There we go.
Well,
Is it like
It's
certain mod levels that have to
Don't
have or
stop,
something?
Get it.
I don't know.
Exclamation sangria for the win.
I don't.
Okay, also.
Let me
the
see if I know
beginning of
how to
this
do it.
level, Excuse me.
Uh,
No, it looks like one of those pop things.
I don't even know how to set up a poll.
I never actually
Again.
thought that I wanted a yay until now.
This.
I want a fucking
What is
yay.
that, Momo? Special juice? What?
Well, there is a current poll, so that's good.
Yay!
That's
Current
good.
poll! We
Wine,
got
beer,
it!
Coffee.
You guys vote! Yeah, water, wine, beer, coffee. Let's go.
How do
Nah,
I
fuck that. Hey, hold on. We're all missing the fucking one
No.
that we all want.
The sangria. Well, I can turn the
Where's
wine
the
into
poll?
sangria. Just vote for wine if you want sangria.
Where's my pole?
Okay, I'll fucking
It pops
100%
up.
vote for
Because
it.
the sangria has wine in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
there it
it's-
is.
it's-
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a Spanish
I
wine.
I'll be
see
making that next
water.
week.
20% for water, 80% for wine so far.
Oh no.
Fuck yeah. Sangria for the win.
0 for beer, thank goodness, because I don't have any in the house.
Sangria.
We would have to take a
I was
road
about to
trip.
say, who put beer?
I'm getting
That
ready
would
for Betsy. Had a
disrupt the
birthday
flow
party.
of-
Oh,
Whiskey.
was it fun? Was it fun? Things are
Oh,
wild.
whiskey.
Momo.
Don't say
Things are
whiskey,
wild.
it's
So
like-
whiskey.
And Momo, I have something to tell you. Something to tell you. You're
I need a-
special.
I need a
I am
fucking. egg.
Momo's
So
special.
very special.
She is. She is so very special.
Well, I'm more special.
GG.
So.
Congrats on your win.
Yeah.
And now we are off to the
Oh, yeah, Wiggle
last.
Streets.
Okay, yes. Congratulations, Wiggles, Rain, Shane, and Tex for using your hacks and getting all those points. Hype, 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 hype.
What
No, you.
Oh,
No,
yeah, you
no,
got
no.
fourth
You can't tell
place.
me I'm special right now, Momo. Only I can do that.
Tex, you
But
got the wrong
yes.
hacks.
We're off to the last race.
Oh, I'm right side for half of
Let's
it.
go. Also, don't forget to vote on the poll. Watch me. You can't. How can you possibly? My bot's not working.
So
Hmm.
long.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so
All right. Exclamation point.
Hello there.
Exclamation
Oh,
point.
She's like, oh god, they're all here.
What?
we're all here.
What
Momo
happened?
showed
Bless,
up for a
I'm going to
second.
bed.
Good night.
Come on,
Bye,
Noah.
bye.
Alright, later, mama.
Good night.
God bless.
Good night, Tigger.
Yeah, have a good night.
Night.
Yes.
Your vote. Your
Vote. 71% said one. Okay. All right. So I'll make us
Whoever
angry.
said wider, we need to make sure this vote.
Well, I'm gonna grab water too, just in case.
That's a
Can
lot.
I be adopted?
just to be here.
Just in case.
Any time you want.
All right. I'm gonna hit start, guys.
I want-
Exclamation play to get your marble on the
I
track.
got there first.
Exclamation
stop
play.
it.
Exclamation
Go, go,
point,
go, go, go.
copy.
Hey, I need to do that.
Oh crap! I hit start twice. I think maybe, or that or the time ran out. I'm not sure.
We're all good. You're all good.
I think the time ran out.
Gnarly.
Something.
Go get
Well, that's the
yourself a
first
wine.
time I missed it. I'm not in, boys.
Go get yourself a wine.
Oh no. you didn't
I
get
will.
me
We gotta
in.
watch this race. It is a 12-second race. I think you can
Always
handle
down
that.
The tubes.
GG6.
This is why I
GG.
didn't get in. It was so goddamn fast.
Oh.
Jesus.
I'm such a
Oh, I know.
Oh my god.
such a devil's
That
advocate.
was-
Slow down, Michigan. Slow down.
Marbles. Come on, guys.
That was him from start to finish.
I can handle 12 seconds. Can you now?
Well, I don't know. You start. You
Oh,
ended
my.
at 13,195.
fucking-
Just say.
Hey, at least you guys were
Done it.
in, okay?
All
You
right,
have at least
podium.
21,995
Podium.
To get rid of.
Are you ready for the podium?
100% you should.
See who's
No,
gets
Momo,
first
it
place.
did. We could hear you. Momo, it worked. Momo.
What? What happened?
No, you were here.
No,
in
not
Discord.
Mono. Momo.
I heard
Yeah.
her come in and say something, but then I didn't hear anything
Yeah, but
else.
she immediately left.
No.
Yeah.
Instantly, 30 seconds. It's just
It
like-
was fine. You were fine. Come back.
I think we were just all talking really loud.
One of us.
Yeah.
One of us.
You just have to yell.
All right.
yes, you're fine.
Podium. Let's go.
I'm not
Third
even-
place
I'm not
goes
even in
to
third place, am I?
the wonderful,
Oh, no.
amazing Crowley.
I'm saying Wiggles gonna
Gnarly.
win because
Not anymore though. What?
$1,000 for this.
Second place goes to Tex with the magic
Lady,
8-ball.
That's so rude.
Oh, 8-ball.
Oh, I've got a better lag here.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah?
congratulations, Wiggles.
900.
And first place goes to.
Scum.
Oh my God!
I didn't
Everybody
even
wiggle,
see it,
wiggle,
and I
wiggle,
knew
wiggle,
Wiggles,
wiggle.
get up and wiggle.
Everybody's gonna wiggle now.
Oh,
I
wow.
will get up and wiggle.
I'll never
You
tell.
liked it.
Alright.
And I didn't even play all the
Good
games.
catch, guys. Yeah, you just came
You
away with all the
kept winning.
points. You just won.
Yeah, that.
Because you
you
kept
fucking
winning.
Oh, 6, you're out of balls.
hate-
6. You need to get some balls, man.
Six,
You need to get some
you're on
balls.
ball.
Just saying.
6,
You're just saying.
Queen
You're
on
out.
aisle 6.
You're out.
Mission
Oh, Splints needs to get some too.
A.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I actually don't even own any balls.
Yeah, you gotta buy some.
Yeah.
This is how you buy some. Get some. Wiggles, wiggle, wiggle.
I
I'm gonna
only
wiggle in
play
chat
with
for
balls,
wheels.
so,
Apparently
yeah,
not.
I don't do the
Right?
I don't play with balls. Yeah.
Exclamation
All
point.
right, we're gonna set this up,
I never played polka.
and
So dyslexic, it's not even funny.
now we're gonna go this way.
Exclamation P-O.
Lineups and tracks we have not played yet.
Okay.
All right, gonna hit play.
B-A-L-L-S.
Purchase and play. Yeah, there you go. They're free. It's free. It's just channel
Well,
points,
I
basically.
know, but I was typing in some silly stuff
Yeah.
earlier. It's fine.
Exclamation play, guys. All right, while you guys jump on the track, I'm going to wave hi
Is
to
that what we're
Michigan,
calling it
who
these days?
thinks
Jumping
he's
on the
new.
track?
Yes.
I am new.
All right.
I'm surprised you guys
I'm
let
going to
me
go
use
refill my
the-
glass. We're gonna do a quick. I'm gonna do a quick BRB. I'm gonna go refill my glass.
I'm gonna go refill.
That's a good idea.
Wait,
Yes. Yes. Everybody run and refill your glasses. Now is the time. I'm gonna run a quick ad real quick while you guys jump on the track. And so hopefully the ads won't roll when we're playing. But yeah, grab your beverage. Be right back, guys. 1 minute. Let's go. Yes, I come back with sangria. Be back. I am back. So, Xstation Play Cat is dropping. No, I was making sangria, and I made it look pretty. The little oranges in it. It's almost more like a mimosa, but it's got apple cider, and it's like a white wine sangria. But yeah, that's good. It's good. It's good. And then we have either water or vodka. I won't tell you. It's something. I if I had time, I probably would have had a good one, but no. I didn't have time for that. I was cutting up oranges. Is it good? All right, I'm gonna hit start. Yeah, I made it fancy. I got slices inside. There's slices in it, and then slices on top. I could have did some better knife work, but I was in a hurry, so. Thanks. How? It was up forever. Wiggles is still gonna get first place though. Wiggles totally missed this, and Wiggles is still gonna get first place. Right, Wiggles?
It looks like
You're gonna get first
Trying.
place.
like a
Trying.
great
That's the
it
goal.
Again.
looks like a great sangria.
Thank you.
However,
John.
All right, we have Shocky in the lead, followed by Lady Rain
John. Who's
and
John?
Splints. Let's go. That's me. My name is John. But I go by Cat or Kimono or Kim or K Cat or yeah.
John
Several
Doe.
names here, but yeah.
Hey cat. That's fine.
John Doe Lane.
Mhm.
John Doe Lane, first prize.
He said John
Prize
Joe.
for-
Yeah. John Dory.
I don't know. I don't remember.
It's a John Wayne film, isn't it? Hondo Lane.
Lady made it in though. Let's go, Lady.
Ooh.
You know what annoys me the most?
I
Your
can't
face?
tell who's in the lead. There, I think it's Lee. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3.
Let me
Go.
Sorry, that was just a reflex response.
I'm stuck here on the other side of the wall.
We were playing golf.
Look at
You know
him
what
coming
annoys me
over
the
the wall.
We're just going for a different hole.
What annoys me the most is that with all the warning and all the encouragement to be
There we go.
get
I'm the
yourself
Lord of the
in
North.
here, fucking
Sorry.
All right, sleep time for me. Good night, KimonoKat in chat, lovelies. Good night, Momo.
what's happened.
Good night, Momo.
I didn't exclamation play.
Everybody tell Momo good night.
Caught up in emotion.
Alright, everything's
Cool.
Bend it. You can hear Splits in the background. Good night, Momo.
Sleep
Don't
night.
let the
Good night.
bug,
Good
Good
night.
night.
the bugs bite.
Yeah.
The bed bugs.
Okay.
Sleep tight. Don't let the
Oh
good bugs
yeah,
bite.
let him if he do. Wait, what?
Got you.
So
Make sure you watch.
with
Never mind.
just give me a moment here.
Dude,
With
even
all this
without
talk,
my car
we
there,
gave you so
my
many
neighbor's
moments.
still back in
Go.
here.
All right, next race.
With all
GG
with
Lady
all the
Rain
talk
on the
of-
first place.
Meanie. Oh, nine.
Fast. Nay nay. Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track, guys. Exclamation play. Let's go.
Oh, wait,
James, you
can
can have any
number
marble you
23.
want. It doesn't matter if it's already
know,
taken.
but
Take the number you want.
Okay.
Oh,
You
It's
see,
supposed to
that-
remind me to reset up
I
the
played
things after the
99.
Grand Prix. I was
Look.
gonna move the 8-ball.
I went
Oh.
11,
Sorry,
and then
I
wiggled
thought-
like 11.
And
No,
move the
I went-
sheep.
I went
I was gonna
11.
move
Okay,
stuff
okay,
around and I forgot.
You're gonna put the sheep
Come
back
on.
at 13?
Yeah, I can put the
Hold
sheep
on,
back at
let-
13. I just need to move
let-
it.
Fuck
the
the
8
black
ball.
sheep.
Yeah, and I can put
Let's
the
do
8 ball on
this.
8.
Yeah.
I went fucking exclamation play 11, then wiggles took it.
Alright.
Exclamation play.
Hurry,
13.
hurry,
I've
hurry,
been
let's
taking
go.
11 since
Ooh.
I
And
did nothing
they're all
but
winning
11.
before I am, so I have to pick a number
Flight,
that's just
flight. Oh, sorry.
so out the fucking realm of possibility. So I'm going to exclamation 1. And
Alright, my island.
Let's go. 40 seconds on the clock. Exclamation play if you don't want to get left behind. Cheers.
fucking yeah,
It's
it's
somebody
up to
croak
fuck-
that.
But it's so soft.
big shoe, big shoe.
Here it is. Now the dirty birdie starts coming
Oh,
out.
we're coming in.
Marvel's voice.
Yeti.
What are you trying to say,
And that's
Rex?
about
What are
the
you
time
trying
I
to say?
walk away from here. That's about the time I jump
Walk
in.
away.
All the voices in my head keep coming out. I'm sorry, guys. You're hearing them in real time.
Honestly,
I fucking love it when Kimono's drinking. It's fucking brilliant. It's a whole
That was a
different side turn.
fast race. Zebra!
I
Zebra.
win.
GG.
How did you finish so fast?
Zebra and Desi and Shocky.
that's what he does.
Talented. Talented.
All the dirty birds in chat. Let's go.
Being a nice guy.
Thumbs up.
Honestly, I was
Race 3 of 7.
I've been
Exclamation
found- I've
play.
been knocked out, you know, I've been found
Honestly,
knocked out, and
Zebra, that was
Marvel's
easy.
voice.
Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. You have 50 seconds. Let's go, 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 go. Yes, give me your most sensual voice saying exclamation play. Let's go.
You know, it's like the. how
That's
people
not
listen
exclamation
I
to-
don't, have,
play.
I don't have a sexy voice, so
You know,
I'm
people
listening
listen
to
to
both.
Blah, 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 blah. Dreams, you gotta say exclamation play.
Race it down.
I did do.
Do it. Say
I
it.
did do it.
Say it in your most sensual voice.
I can't
Say
do
it.
that in Scottish.
Well, mine's visual.
It's fucking it
do
sounds
it.
so
Boy.
bad.
That was weird.
Say it like you
Can't
mean
do
it.
that in Scottish.
Say it like you mean it. Say exclamation play like
Give
you
us
mean
a
it.
little bit of the Highlands.
I can't. I really can't. It sounds
Can it?
the more.
Can it? Because
Yeah,
he's not from the Highlands, like.
can't.
He's not from the
Uh,
Highlands, lad.
I cannot. It doesn't sound sensual.
chat, I hope you're all good with the shenanigans that go on here every Friday. I hope you find it entertaining. We're just all so happy it's Friday. We enjoy hanging out and we enjoy all the shenanigans. I hope you do too. Don't everybody get quiet at once. This is weird. I'm used to the nonstop chatter in my head. Where did everybody go? Oh, am I having technical difficulties? Oh crap, I can't hear anybody. Can you hear them? My music just died. No, I don't think I'm having technical difficulties. Could be Discord. Okay. Could be Discord. I think I lost Discord. Stream's still up. Stream's fine, but I think I lost Discord. I blame Discord. 100% blame Discord. I cannot hear them. Yeah, they're all frozen. I don't know what's gonna. They're all like. I'm gonna take a screenshot and remember this moment forever. But yeah, they're all completely frozen. And my music keeps going away. Discord's being evil to me. So, alright, I'm gonna hang up on Discord for a minute. And restart Discord. And restart my music because now it's too quiet. I promise, guys, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Discord's mad at me. They're gonna be like, she left chat. She's tired of us. I'm like, no. Discord's tired of me. That's what. It's Discord. And also, GG Michigan. Congrats on first place, followed by Crowley, Shane, Wiggles, Battlecat, Tex. I'm gonna see if I can end task on Discord and jump back in. Let's see. GG Michigan, let's go! Alright, everybody, next leg of the race is Sinister Effortless Trial. Let's see what we're getting ourselves into. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Alright, we're gonna reboot up Discord now and see what happens. I'm gonna hit start. Also, if you're looking and listening, hurry, hurry, hurry. Get your marble on the track. Alright, I think Discord's working again. Let's try this. I'm back. Yay.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
I think my Discord connection is being like flaky, guys. My stream's fine, but my Discord connection's flaky.
Because we were being inappropriate.
I
Oh,
really
of
thought that too.
course. That's 100%. You guys are all always inappropriate. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, we all are.
We're all
It's
little
Friday.
sluts.
I won't.
It's okay.
I won't
She
think
even
about that. We're all in.
had us at
No,
She's
you
super
guys all
ridiculous.
froze up, so I took a screenshot of your paused faces and kind of,
Oh shit.
you know, yeah,
Oh,
I had
no.
to.
I better to get a.
I'm so photogenic. It must have been like this.
I'll show you. I'll show you. I took a.
Oh,
I won't share
honestly-
live, but I'll share with you guys. This is
Yeah,
what
I
this
thought
is
it
what
was
I
because we were
saw
talking
before
about
I
bringing
had
sexy
to.
back, and then
I had to
really
end
thought that too.
task on Discord and come back. So, but yeah, that's where y'all were at. Don't look
hold
like
on.
that.
How good am
That's all.
I? I almost
man.
did the. I almost did the.
I was laughing hard. All right.
Just
Yeah,
walk
I'm
by
the
that
only
and
one-
say,
Y'all were having a good
Am
time.
I a
Yeah.
real person?
Oh, is this the?
A little bit lopsided,
chat.
but I'll take it.
Your side chat is the size of my entire monitor. I love it.
No, I don't think I'm a real person. I'm the only blurry one. I don't think
Let's
I'm
go,
real.
motherfucker. Am I sitting first?
If you keep doing that,
I'm in a different
Oh,
dimension.
oh,
Come on, Winner. Just focus on me. Just focus on me.
Man, my
I'm
beard
gonna win.
looks.
Focus
on
really
you.
clean, I will say.
Yeah, I'm gonna win.
Would you expect
No.
it to have like some
But-
crabs hanging off or something?
Nah. When Kimono fucking focuses on myself, I know I'm gonna win. I know
Okay.
I'm fucking there.
messing.
It's like
Until- Until Mr. Splints steals the win from you, Dreams.
not a fucking
Dude,
chance.
I'm always
not a fucking
squinty-eyed.
chance.
Why am I always
But-
squinty-eyed?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Because that's
No, like I said,
your
I'm
face.
not
Look,
even
I'm
in the
catching
right
up.
place.
I'm catching
Yeah,
up,
but
Kimono.
dude,
I'm
it's
catching
not
up.
like I'm sitting over here getting
I'm
high.
catching up.
Would
Fucking
anyone like-
look.
Hold on.
anyone like to make any bets
Oh,
on the next race?
I
I'll
was
take
so
the bet.
close.
You might have to
so
refresh
close.
your stream. I think there's a pretty big delay at this point. So,
Oh.
Wiggle!
Anyways,
No,
supposed
it's
to have
Split
five
Streams
already.
and Wiggles.
like I said,
Mhm.
I've learned is I'm in another
Why am my
dimension.
eyes always?
But yes, periodically refresh to be on the most recent.
I'm Flash. I'm just.
Exclamation
savior
star,
of the
guys!
universe.
Let's go!
gonna make
60
some-
seconds on the clock.
60 seconds, boys.
I don't really. Well, I want to point this out because I think
Cheers.
it's fucking brilliant. Oh, shit.
Cheers.
Planja.
It's too good. Look how fast I'm drinking it.
It's is that orange and water and vodka?
It's wine, because sangria is typically a white sangria with white wine or a red sangria with red wine. And then it's
I
like
didn't really-
juices
okay.
and fruit. And so this has
no,
cider
you're
in it
absolutely
and
right.
orange juice and
I drink
You're
wine.
fine.
orange slices. But
fucking.
it's
you know
almost
what?
more like a
Make it
mimosa.
Really good. You
But
have
it's
to
not a
set it up
bubbly wine.
early so it can sit.
Oh, it doesn't
Oh
show
my
you.
gosh, Tex, thank you so
No,
much
no,
for
we
the
did
24
see it.
months.
You
Thank you,
got-
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank
No,
you.
no.
Years.
Also,
No, I
the
clicked
race
it
has
because
started.
There were a dog doing this,
Let's
and I
go.
thought that were gonna show up. That's why I clicked it. Normally, I don't even click them, and I was like, I saw this dog going like, woo, woo.
It's reminding you. Use your
It was
prime
doing
sub.
the ba ba ba.
Yeah. Because, yeah.
it-
If you don't use it, you
were a
lose it.
hunting
Yeah.
dog literally just.
You don't use it, you lose it. Well, you can save it by clicking on it, and it'll stay there until your first message.
Yeah.
But
This camera is the reason why I can see like the red in my
Your beard.
facial hair.
I
All
wouldn't
right.
use
Yeah,
it.
you see
GG
my yellow?
Wiggles. That was a very fast
I think I
race.
just get blacker.
Number
yeah.
7.
and they
Marble
were all
downhill.
All this is dark as hell. But
I take it's
see-
a
I got
downhill run
this,
from here.
And then
I know
sit
you're,
too
yeah,
far-
you
too
are a
far
lot.
back.
I get it.
I sit too far back from the camera to notice the grey in it.
50 seconds on the clock. Let's go.
I want to get in there. You got an exclamation point.
Copy hashtag.
shut the hell up.
Split.
Where are we what are we getting into? What are we getting
That was
into,
good.
Splits?
That was good, Zebra. That was good.
The
What are we-
race of marbles.
Oh, okay. I was confused.
Splints, I don't want to be
Let's see
turned
if
on.
that
right now.
works.
All right.
That didn't work.
Wow.
Splints, you're making me hot. Just chill, man.
I was gonna say that.
Oh.
That's not
That
me.
will work,
I'm
though.
not standing up for 10 minutes.
It worked.
I've been trying so hard
Mhm.
to not go to the toilet. I don't want this to be an excuse to go to the
Yes.
toilet. If I can calm down.
Hey, Splints is a fruitcake, so
I
What, you love him more
mean,
than
some
me?
of us
Come on.
like fruitcake, so
I know it.
hey, that's an insider family joke. Just know he's
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
the
yeah.
family. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's why he loves him more than me, is what he basically said.
Exclamation play
No.
99.
I met y'all the same time. Shut up.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I'll give you the
It's a
pinky. I'll give you the pinky.
Good.
Michigan.
I'm gonna give you the finger.
Stop it.
What? I give you both.
I think voice chat's getting way too excited over here.
I give you
9
both.
contestants, 1 marble.
Luckily, this is not.
And lots of fingers, apparently.
No, not that. Not
Welcome
that
to the
one.
Iron Throne.
It's better to
Welcome
polish your marble
to
with,
the marble
right?
throne.
Don't forget your towel.
I need a fucking yay.
Done.
I need more to
You
drink.
The thing is,
Really,
I mean, like I was saying
I'm
to,
first.
to Splints
What?
there,
If
it's
I
just-
was blue,
If you're first, then there's something wrong.
wait,
with
is it, if
Ah,
I was
you're
green,
first.
I don't know.
Nope. If I was blue,
I am
would die.
first.
Oh.
I got second, so
So
something's
I'm
definitely wrong.
blue. If I was green, I would die. If I was,
Fuck you,
Momo?
Michigan.
That-
You might be the
Zephyr
first
won.
winner.
You won.
All right.
No,
I have
he was saying
a
that
very
to me.
important message
No,
from the
he was yelling at
lovely
me.
Momo.
Yes. I
Very
was
important message.
Throwing shade at Michigan.
Well, that means I'm the first loser, so
There we go.
kind of the same thing.
Next leg of the
Right.
race.
Down
Keep
under.
frost.
Next up is
Forest.
exclamation
I was first
play.
too.
Cheers.
Let's go.
All right.
Cheers.
Fun to
Jesus,
that
it
motherfucker.
feels like I'm in like a
Cheers,
pub and I have to
guys.
drink
Cheers.
faster.
Cheers.
Black cat ears. I got you. Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track. 45 seconds left in the race.
I'm gonna get my marbles out there.
Don't
Or
miss
until the
out.
race starts.
This is the
Can we
last
do a
one
bet?
of the
Oh,
night.
Where's-
Almost
No, I'm just kidding.
where's our
I'm
heart?
just kidding. I don't know that.
This might sound very
He's lying.
abrasive here,
He's lying.
but
I
with that
could be
voice,
lying.
What did
Well,
you say?
Halo
I
on
didn't even hear. Something
I said,
about.
don't miss out.
Yes.
This is the last
Got
one of the
numerous words
night.
for heart. Oh,
I'm just saying.
wow.
He tried to
And
sound
this,
sexy.
this
What?
might be
Halo.
abrasive. This might be abrasive, but with that
That's-
voice
whoa.
and that Yeti, Kimono,
What?
I think could still stand to a fucking addict.
What'd you say?
Or,
Huh?
or still fucking
Come
snort
on,
when they go.
you need to put Halo on.
Yes. Is your mom around? Is Tigger?
No,
Is
she's
Tigger
not-
around?
No, what?
Fuck,
I don't
that's
mean
the
in
first
my,
time I've ever heard it.
Is your mama
in
around?
your actual.
Don't make it weird.
No, she's in a different
No, I mean,
room.
you
Don't
know
worry,
how
you're
you've got
fine.
your different ears.
I mean, she's
Hey,
hot, but
Molly,
don't make
please
it
come here.
weird.
Hey, stop it! Stop it! Put on your
You know what I
put on
mean?
your adult ears.
You've got different
Oh,
ears,
yeah.
so you
Yeah.
need to put Halo on one of them. On one of them.
Oh,
things,
yeah.
when
All right,
doing
I
live
got you,
videos.
man. I got you.
I
GG
don't-
Cat on winning the 7th race of this Grand Prix. We're gonna approach the podium now and see who the winner
I know
is.
I don't know if any of you know.
I can't
But
go on that
first,
limit.
1 second of intermission here
Oh,
to
I had
Does
5
not
wins.
involve a Halo.
for Tex.
Okay.
There's more of a
Why are you guys
fucking-
talking about my mom that way?
As Tigger
That's
supplies
right,
these
Louis,
lovely,
Is it
beautiful
you?
halos to us, and I'm gonna add them to the ears because everybody wanted to see it with the ears.
Oh,
I
yeah, yeah, you need to
remember
add that
that.
to the.
That's
There.
awesome.
I don't
Numero
believe
dos.
this.
Numero dos.
With the ears of an
Yes.
angel.
I can't see the ears yet. Like I've got
Wait a minute,
mad
they
lag
allowed
right
you
now.
in heaven? That's weird.
You gotta refresh your stream.
Wow.
You're way behind. You're way behind. Way behind.
Oh
They didn't let
boy!
me in heaven, so I was wondering.
All right, Grand Prix. Drum roll, please. The third place
That's
goes
not a
to
drum roll, but okay.
Sorry,
Oh,
I don't know.
Wait, how'd that go again?
Wow.
How'd that go again? Let me see. Can we hear that again?
I don't know. I
That's
don't
a
know.
great drum.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, what in the world?
Something
am
like
I
that. It
getting
was like
here?
R mixed with a tongue roll.
Is that an
Yeah.
angry sheep? It's like an
can't-
on fire angry piggy sheep.
It's an angry bull. He's very
I
angry.
think it's just a
Oh,
piggy. I don't think it's a piggy sheep.
Fucking number
You have
14.
sheep
I
on
don't
the
know.
Look at
it's
his
number
tail.
14.
He's got a cow tail.
Yeah, look at my tail.
Second place goes to
I picked number fucking. I picked number.
Michigan. GG. GG.
Hey, first,
No, no, man.
first loser again. Yes.
Do you know what?
First
what's
place
annoying is
goes
I
to-
picked all these numbers. I picked all these.
Another
Face
white
white
ball.
Shane,
man.
thank you,
Wow.
Shane. Woo!
Basic
Oh,
white
you
man.
guys gotta
I'm
like
seeing
pick a
a
number or
conspiracy
download an
here.
app or
It's everybody with the plain balls.
Shane exclamation mark.
Hey.
no
Thank you.
fucking
One
fun.
thing about our plane balls,
Basic
at
is
least they
apparently the winner right now because you know.
Wow.
So don't judge. Don't judge. Basic is the winner.
I'm still
Apparently,
here. I'm still here.
we
Hold on,
still
look.
win.
At least our.
It's
at
just
least our
clean.
marbles worked.
Very clean.
Yeah,
Wow.
just because you use Clorox.
fucking-
Very clean.
I bleached my marbles.
Very clean. Alright.
They're very
Ah.
clean. Very
I
clean.
mean, I'm getting,
Alright,
I'm
we're
getting
gonna-
absolutely rinsed.
I don't know what's
Oh,
going on here, but
no.
we're gonna change some
Absolutely
stuff.
I
Okay,
think
remove
I
my
know
face for a
the
minute.
asset-
Number eight.
Mono, don't
number
forget to
8
change
needs to
some
be
stuff.
an 8-ball.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, change the,
I'm
yeah.
changing
Number 8's
things
8-ball.
and stuff. 8 should be
I want
8
Number 2
to-
should
ball.
be the fluffy sheep.
I'm gonna have to
the-
join
Okay.
NASA so we
Alright.
can get out of
The,
here.
the game I want to play.
Sheep
The game I want to play.
should
is
be
Day
Yeah,
of the Dead.
the chef.
Day of the Dead. Day of
number
the Dead.
13 will be the
What are
show,
we doing?
Straight to
There it
the top.
is. The
Alright.
sheep.
which means we'll
So
make
then
number
that's
13,
15
yeah.
the bull, and we'll make number 9 the
Up.
chickadee.
Up
Get
to
the
the top.
horn.
Oh, there's
Up to the
already a
top, Day of the
chickadee.
Dead.
Wait a minute.
I
Hey, how
am
about
the
chickadee?
chef.
Very top.
Yeah, I went full screen for no goddamn reason. Sorry.
Corner.
Excuse me.
Right to
Alright.
the top. Right to
Well,
the top.
It looks bigger.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
It was
Go
ridiculous.
to the top. See the one that's like Day of the Dead? Yeah, that motherfucker.
Oh, this
Put
one
that
here.
to number 1. Yeah, that's me.
Number
He
one.
wants that at number
Okay.
six.
Number one.
Six,
Number one.
six.
Number one.
Hey.
Number 1. Yeah, motherfucker. That's
Number
me.
one.
Right there.
Okay.
I'm going number 1.
All right. Any more requests based on what I have currently? This is what I have.
I want
You got the
the
butterfly?
B12 purple. B12 purple. Scroll up.
Purp-
Scroll up.
Purple and what number?
I gotta ask about
B12.
16.
B12. Scroll up.
Vitamin B12.
Like
Right there.
vitamin B12.
B12.
Yeah,
Purple.
goddamn.
What number? 12.
B12. B12.
All right,
Make it
16
Make it
looks
12,
like a
that makes
kiwi,
sense.
but it should probably be a tennis
Make it
ball.
12. Make it 12.
What is that number? So I
12.
12.
It's 12 now.
keep it.
Yeah.
12.
It makes sense
Alright.
for 12.
It's
literally.
vitamin B12.
But you won't be able to
Shut
play it,
the hell
Zebra.
up,
You won't be able to
motherfucker.
play it on 12 because you
Oh,
don't
yeah, he's
have
not a member.
a sub.
Sorry. A member.
So we're gonna have to make it a different number.
Hey, you remember.
I can put it
Make
on
it
number
6.
4.
Remember in my book.
I'm about to say
Four
make
is
it
a good one.
Never mind. I
Four
was
is a
gonna
good
make
one.
it 6, so you just have to times it.
How-
I don't know.
So
Well, if you're 555, I'm.
I want a butterfly.
Excuse me.
That one looks awesome.
The
9 on 9.
The
Butterfly?
fucking
hey,
jack-o'-lantern.
I'll just pull
That
up and
jack-o'-lantern's
just
a good one.
Hold on.
Just peg
Can I
it
at least
off.
say something?
Shush.
Or-
I pull up. I say hello.
There's the butterfly.
Alright.
Is it?
Is that all the changes?
Hold on. The
16
butterfly.
looks
Where are
like
we
a
now?
tennis
Joe.
ball, but like a dirty one.
Joe.
Is there a clean tennis
Joe.
ball?
It's a mercat. Mercat. There is, I think, a tennis ball.
A mercat? Is that like a?
Mermaid kitty.
No, it's probably not. Never mind.
A mermaid kitty.
Joe.
Nobody ever sees that one because
I'm
it's
not
behind
gonna
my
say
big
what I
head.
was thinking.
It's always behind my big
Joe,
head
what are you trying
anyway.
to say?
Nobody ever sees it.
do I just
What was I
Do I
saying?
just
Hold on, once everybody's
make
done.
like
Yeah.
play 4?
Jojo, what are you gonna say?
The
Mercury.
Yeah.
butterfly.
You hit
I want that
exclamation
one.
4 if you want the
Butterfly.
purple one.
The butterfly.
Exclamation
Butterfly.
play 4. Yeah.
Butterfly.
Butterfly is number 2.
My little Shep.
Is the butterfly
Butterfly's
number 2?
number 2.
Yeah, butterfly's number 2.
Alright, that's all that I wanted. Alright.
You're my
There you go.
butterfly, sugar baby.
Alright. Any more requests?
Nope.
Oh,
No, let's
I
go.
don't know. I might want to change my fucking.
Hey,
shit.
chat. Is now's your time
It's
to
not a
get
serious
involved?
question.
Yeah, we did. 8 balls on 8.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't that
Yeah,
one?
I like
Is that
that
the one you wanted,
jack-o'-lantern.
James?
I like. I don't know. I like the Day of the Death, but if you scroll down, I want to see the jack-o'-lantern one.
The Dias de los Muertos.
The
yeah, that one.
the evil jack-o'-lantern?
Yeah. What does that look
We
like?
can make
on
it
the
number
ball?
6.
What does it look like on the
I don't
ball?
know how
though?
you
Like
look
number
on the
1.
ball. Put it on 6. 6.
Yeah, I put it on 6.
Yeah, 6.
Number
yeah.
2 is gonna
Okay.
win.
You're 5, 5, 5, 5.
Fuck.
Alright.
Sorry, I
Six is-
forgot how much I love Slipknot. My bad.
6 is tricks, man. 6 is
Okay.
tricks.
Don't slip too much.
We'll go
That's
6.
pretty good.
Six
Yeah,
is
we don't
tricks.
want the slacker ball because that's what you call it
That-
in real life. Slacker ball.
Like you.
Alright.
I
Fun
mean,
fact,
it's
I
you
have
know-
it hanging down low, and
you know
can
how
sew
you
it
got
to
the
a bow.
19?
You can tie it in a knot. You could tie it in a bow.
You know how you got the 19? You went to TwitchCon 2019 and met Pixel. That's how you got 19.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool.
Did you have to
The
do
dev.
I went
things,
on
or-
TwitchCon 2019. So
Did you?
You're.
Yeah, you guys
I did.
didn't meet up.
Cool. We didn't
Oh,
know each
shit.
other
Are
then.
you fucking? What are you drinking, motherfucker?
Okay,
Hold on a
fair
minute.
enough. I
What?
was at TwitchCon 2019, but I didn't actually go to TwitchCon.
Zeb, what the fuck are you drinking, by the way?
I just hung out with my friends.
Zeb, what the fuck are you drinking? Are you in like fucking half?
Good stuff,
A little
apparently.
Bacardi.
It's at the end of the bottle. Who cares?
Half
No,
spiritus,
it's
half
not.
fucking-
There's
Oh,
not.
Is that McGillicuddy's?
Make sure none of these
Well,
are
to
like
me,
6
that's the end of the
minutes.
bottle.
Hold on.
That's okay.
What is it?
Hold on a minute. I need to put that. To
It's a
max.
clear
It
one that
is.
comes with a green
Alright.
I'm
star.
gonna turn Kimono up.
We're done
and
for
then
shenanigans.
I'll yell over you guys.
Turn it
No.
up, turn it down. Here we go. Run around.
Get your marble on the
That's
track,
it.
guys!
I will
Exclamation
say-
play
I will
and
say
choose your
marbles on the-
number. Choose your number. We've
So
redone
I'm
them.
staying at 11.
Exclamation.
Get your
Fucking-
marbles there.
Exclamation
Yeah, because-
play.
Don't forget to play your number.
I forgot to play my number actually.
I don't remember what
played.
my number
50
was.
seconds on the clock. Exclamation play. Let's go.
Oh my god, we just had 5 minutes.
If I
of
don't win,
adjusting
then-
numbers.
That's something else.
What?
I'll adjust your number.
Alright, I'm gonna
Oh,
sit back down.
wow.
Time to sit.
I'm gonna divide your number.
Elevator going down.
Elevator go up. I
Elevator
want to push
go
the
down.
button.
Nighttime. Nighttime.
Hold on, let me win first, and then I can get cocky. Hold on.
I want to know where.
I'm writing my speech right now.
Exclamation play. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
I'm just saying, as somebody who just recently exfoliated, you should all be exfoliating.
Oh, yes. Exfoliating is the best.
Exfoliate. I have to. I
My
have to
skin's so
exfoliate.
That sounds so
smooth.
sexy. Ew.
Oh yeah.
Gotta keep
What?
yourself baby smooth, man. Baby smooth.
I'm always looking for the best exfoliating.
Dude. It's
All
getting
I'm
glove,
using is one of those
loofah,
little, like, scrubby,
whatever.
fluffy,
The scrub
fluffy
pad.
rocks.
These
fuck
rocks,
it,
that's
yeah,
all.
man.
Those exfoliating gloves that you wear.
I grabbed myself a lava rock. And
Yeah.
I scrubbed the shit out of myself
I
with
love
lava.
I have to use the lava rock on my toes.
Scrub.
My toes.
Oh, do you?
You know,
I'm
gotta
just talking about like
I
my
didn't know you
Gotta-
had a
just-
toad.
gotta
just a
keep
little
those
floofy,
pizza toes
fluffy
in
floofies.
perfect condition.
Especially if they're for
Pizza.
grabbing.
Yes.
The
I feel like-
pizza.
Don't mess with me on that. I know the lore.
You know,
I got no comment.
I was talking with my wife about this. Like, some of the stuff that we've come up, like, while we've all been
We
hanging
need a
out.
pizza
it's been-
toes emote. Just kidding.
Hey,
Bruh.
Oh my god.
How do you even make a pizza toes
I
emote?
don't
even
know.
I don't know. Ask freaking AI.
Yeah, you
It's the
gotta
one
let
that made the
AI to make you
toes in
pizza
the
toes
first place.
emote.
Yeah,
And
but
it-
it was my imagination
Okay.
that caused the hallucination.
I have tasked the community with making a
always-
hacks emote and a pizza toes emote using AI and
Yeah.
posting it in the AI art channel.
slices of pizzas is your toes.
If
no,
the
it's gonna
hacks
be
emote-
because little piggy, so maybe
It's gotta be high contrast so that it shows up.
Little pig, little
If-
pig.
if-
And
if the
preferably a
hacks-
PNG file.
With a
PNG file. What if I want
If
the
an alpha
they
background.
M13 file?
If the hacks emote
The
is turned on
MS-13
your
files?
me,
I mean, if
Yeah,
you
I
want a
want
square
those.
emote, you can make a square emote. You can use the background if you really want.
You just square it.
You might need it for pizza toes. That's gonna be complicated.
It's hip
I
and P
would-
square.
I mean, yeah,
currently working Oh my god.
Just
They're
square
all
it.
Oh my
thinking
God.
too hard now. We're in trouble.
Are
Oh my
you
God.
serious? Are you serious? Did you just come up with pizza toes emote?
He's working on something. Oh my gosh, we're in trouble.
Bro.
Yeah.
Okay, why does this look like the
Oh my
love
gosh,
canal?
that's great. Okay. Alright.
Love and here's the honor.
He's been
it looks
working
like-
on that
Alright.
for a minute.
It looks like
Oh.
you were wearing the same socks for a very long time, and
We're gonna see
got,
about
like,
this
the
here.
swamp.
But
With
GG Tex,
this
you got
looks
the
like-
win.
I'm
We're
very
looking at.
confused, dude, because this looks like a love canal.
Let's see.
Oh well, the second one
Image.
reminds me of a lot of things.
Add.
Love
Oh,
a
you're
good
talking
love
about
canal.
like the chat. Okay.
Love a good love canal.
Oh my god, pizza toes.
I know he literally typed in pizza toes. But AI was very
Okay,
direct.
and we're
Okay,
gonna.
I'm gonna be honest. The first set looks better than the second set because the second set looks like
Oh my
really
gosh.
weird, like
Okay, I haven't
know,
seen
I
the
know.
second set,
don't
but
talk
chat.
about
mushroom toes.
Discord's fixing to. I mean, the community's
I'll
seeing
put it,
the
I'll put it
current
in
one.
the AI chat as well too.
I think the
Well,
first one.
She
I think
has
the
it
first
on
one
stream,
is good.
by the way.
Pizza toes.
The first one, the second one is
So
awful. It's like
disturbing.
why Why do your
Right,
toes
It's
look
like
like
you've
they
been
got...
wearing. Hold on.
To see this.
Right.
Welcome.
It's like you
It's
guys
like the
been
look
wearing.
inside
Thank
of
you
your
so
weird
much for
penis
gifting
toes.
a sub
And
to
then you have
Lit
cheese up the
Panda. Thank
balls.
you. And also GG Tax on your win. Let's go. Next race.
Oh,
The
fuck
first-
yeah.
the-
Thank you so much,
first
Anonymous
I wasn't
Gifter.
even paying attention when I won.
I'm just
But,
saying, the
uh,
first picture
Who
is
looks
way
like
took
better.
a
you've been
picture
wearing
of
Same
themselves?
socks for a long
Bro,
time.
the
and-
second toe looks
Exclamation
awful.
play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. Let's go. 60
Well, you
seconds
got
on the
lucky,
clock.
Yeah.
Sub and you win. That's it.
Oh,
Yo.
my balls too.
Okay,
right?
now I gotta go,
my
sir.
balls too.
Wiggles,
Yeah,
the first picture's way
um,
better. Do not post the second one.
No,
Please
the
don't.
second one I
That's just-
can't. It looks
it's
too
so
much like
bad.
mushrooms. It looks like mushrooms.
Oh god, that's pizza foot.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Can we
meant
all
for
just have
digging.
a moment to kind of express what we're saying here?
No, but the
My
toes
foot
are made for
is meant
digging.
for-
Oh
not
my
the foot.
gosh. We're if you're wondering what's going on
Pepper, tea,
here,
Update.
I'm not quite sure.
Aluda.
But I think we're talking about emotes. Possible emotes for the future being pizza toes and hacks. We also need a hacks.
To
Go
recap
for it.
the
Read
channel,
Frosty Tools.
Alright, here we go.
hold
KimonoKat
on,
just
let him
rolled the
talk.
dice of generosity and landed on anonymous grifter. Thanks to this mysterious hero, the stream's vibes are even more epic. Who knew luck could be so generous? Let's keep the marbles rolling and the hype going.
Thank you so much,
100%.
Anonymous. Oh no,
Whoop, whoop.
it's her turn. Can we go down the
that
track?
Was a good
Like,
stream. Come on, that was.
Oh,
a
I
good
tried to play way too late. I think I'm already in there though. Oh
I
my
really
god, the
like this
pizza toes
track.
made an
I really
appearance.
like this track. It feels like
No,
Mario
nice.
Kart-ish, and like
Sorry.
I just want to
No,
like.
everybody knows about
I
pizza
love the
toes.
Mario Kart.
I
aspect
thought
of
that
it.
was Joe's toes.
Oh, wow.
Gosh, yours
What?
are
I know you like to
It's-
eat my toes. I get it.
It
But
it splints
Oh,
with his
no.
Oh,
fucking
y'all started a hype
with
train.
his fungal
In the
toes.
community.
I don't know what you did.
The pizza toes.
But welcome team.
Splits
Welcome
his
to the
fungal toes.
stream. Glad to have you here. Hope
Here
you're
it is.
having an awesome Friday night.
Just for you.
Cheers.
anyways, T, it's weird to see you at this time.
Oh,
No, I
Going
still
up.
think the first one is
Front,
better.
huh?
I don't know why. It just is.
Pizza
That first
toes
one
is
was, like,
superior.
perfect. Yeah.
more cervezas.
Anyways,
Again,
All right, we
that's
need
just
one for
it
hacks,
showing up
too.
in the stream.
What are your ideas for hacks? You guys keep saying I need a
Artist.
hacks one.
Hmm.
I gotta ask you, artist, did you see pizza toes? Like, what do you think about pizza toes?
Discord voice chat
Oh
wants to
my
know what
God.
the
I
artist mate
I
thinks
need a
about
different
pizza
perspective on
toes.
this.
I think the
Oh
worst
my
was
God.
hoping
the first one's
for
a bit
like
drippy.
actually.
The artist mate probably thinks we've lost our minds. And maybe we have. It is Friday, it's been a long week, and this is how we deal.
He done it. They went entirely nutty.
We've always
Yes,
lost our
we are
minds.
nutty. But
I'm
yes.
fucking winning right
Oh
now.
my god, stop
These
it.
guys are still circling. I guess they have to
winning
go
right
all the way
here.
around again.
No, no.
They're
What's
just
the
that far
difference between
behind.
Game and golf friends.
This
in
one you
marbles,
don't do
we have
anything.
to
You
do
just
anything.
type in exclamation play, and
Yeah, when the
game
race
just does
starts.
itself. Golf with
You
friends,
can
you
pick
actually
a
have to
number,
control.
and that's your
This is
your
just random.
specific marble, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. We'll make jokes
Ultimately-
about wax and all that, but yeah, stop.
Oh
We
my
don't-
This stream has a collective of 3 brain cells on Friday night. I'm what I'm I'm coming into. I don't know. I'm eating, so I'm slow. I don't know.
It's artists.
orange
There
juice.
is 3
We're
brain cells,
sharing.
maybe.
Com-
We're sharing
Gosh,
them, yeah.
Artists, we're sharing.
GG,
Ultimately, there's a difference
Shane,
between-
Chalky,
the
Splints,
difference
GG.
between
Congrats.
Coming like
Whoop, whoop.
first and fourth.
Okay,
is
Wiggles,
Poke
that
it.
a
last
running
one,
joke where
not the
you-
very
you
last, but the
played too
second to
much.
last.
Let's go.
where the big
Pokecatch, if you
toe
can,
is
Pokemon
triangle
also
there.
play.
So it's like a play to win type shit. You know, it's not. It's
Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Hurry,
So
hurry,
the
hurry. There's
likelihood of
50
you
seconds
Everybody
on the
don't
clock.
forget, pay your DJ.
Oh, and I have sad news. My drink is empty. It's very, very sad.
Again?
Oh
Wow.
no!
It's empty.
Oh
Do it
no!
Yeah.
Hold
I'm
on.
gonna-
you have
I'm gonna have to drink water. Or vodka.
You just have to
Whichever
fill
this
another
is.
one.
Yeah,
You just have to
right.
fill
Are you
another
getting
one.
Are you getting another?
Yeah, I'll have to make another.
If you look into the etymology of vodka, it's the diminutive of water, which means small water. So
Small water?
therefore, both are good.
And
Scandal.
wine.
You're just doing
being-
small water.
And wine.
Better
And
put
wine being. And
into a
Vodka
vote
is
of what
the
to drink next.
diminutive
Yes.
of vodka.
And wine being.
All right,
the
guys, we need
derivative
another
of-
poll. You heard that. Mods in chat. Can we get another poll
wine.
for water, sangria, wine,
Oh my god.
100%.
or
Are
coffee?
you trying to put it on us? You
Oh,
probably
no.
really
Yeah.
want
Oh my
one.
god.
I think it's
Sangria, beer. Sangria,
What?
beer. Fucking comment on
Kimono
this right
hacks.
now. And wine being a derivative of a grape.
Oh, for
That's
fuck's
cute.
sake, can you post that
Five
directly,
and eight,
please?
mate.
Oh god, the
Those
second
look
one's
good.
even better.
You get 5 wines
Oh
in
my
a day.
god.
that does look
fucking
very good
full-
in it.
I like it. Okay, you guys, yeah, we gotta vote on
Okay,
these. Like,
Hold up, can we change the
I'll
white
post them.
background?
I'll post them.
Big
Wait, wait,
Mac,
wait,
be
wait,
right
wait,
me.
wait,
Okay,
wait.
artist. Small
On
water.
that second one, change the white background to transparent, and that's perfect for an emote.
Let's
Okay.
see.
Okay, so
Images.
AI is taking over.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I set them on assignment to create a hacks emote and a pizza toe emotes,
wait.
and now they're going crazy.
Why is it gotta?
It's a
Okay,
toe.
first
the
of
wrong
all,
one.
the rest
Hold
of
on,
these
we're not
emotes are not
crazy.
pizza toes. Just saying.
They're not pizza
We're not
toes.
crazy.
Toe.
Where it's a little special. Come on.
I thought I downloaded this one, but I guess I
To be
didn't.
fair, we did have a lot of pizza toes, but
Alright, I will share what they are creating in the community for possible emotes for my stream. I'm sorry. I warn you now.
Well, AI generated, so there's no way we can do it.
Yes.
those are wonderful toes. Are they
There you
amazing,
go.
Megan?
It's
Hacks. Colin Hacks. Get your hacks
looks like
here. Here.
something.
Here, we'll just replace
Big
myself
Mac.
with hacks. There we go. That's my new.
That's a nice one. And if we get rid of the white background, that's a. good
That's my
emote.
new. That's my new stream
Hold on.
avatar.
That was, I know. I saw the arm, but it's fine. It's fine.
Nah, like
GG! Congratulations,
It
Rikes,
could be
Wiggles,
worse.
and Michigan on getting points or on to race number
fuck,
4.
dude. That annoys me.
I mean,
I wanna
somebody will
have-
always point in some direction,
Alright.
right? It's
I wanna
not
ha-
like
I
it's
wanna
like a fucking.
I want to
Well,
have
that's
the
what
ma-
I
Can't
saw.
tell the
somewhere that
difference
did.
of your skills.
I want to have the
Right?
Matrix background there somewhere.
Alright, you know what time it is.
I'm just
Exclamation point.
a sheep ball.
Pizza toe.
Get your marbles on the track! Exclamation play! 1 minute on the clock. Let's go. All right, here's
So
one
many.
more. One more that they're
Keep it-
presenting.
Nah, just the last two. The last one's.
No,
like,
the
too much.
first one.
Oh,
Don't
wrong thing.
keep, like,
Well,
I
the
keep
first
clicking
one.
on the wrong
Point.
stuff.
No.
Lucas, can you do
That
20
one
seconds,
with the
guys.
yellow
Exclamation
hacks.
play. Hurry, hurry. You guys are all going to miss the race.
Can you do
Otherwise,
one
it
that's
looks like you're
got,
like
distracting 'em.
Wolverine.
Can you do one that's got
No,
like
the
a
first
like
one
a
of those
Matrix
second
ones and zeros
paragraph.
background?
There you go. Now they're that's me.
I'm gonna
That's
put
me
an
apparently.
emote
Yeah.
on the ones I like.
That one
That's
is
what
the
I'm gonna
best
do.
one. In my
That's
opinion.
me.
That's the best.
They
one.
say
How
that's
do
the
I do
best
it?
one. That's me. Yep.
Yeah,
I
this
don't know
one.
why I
That
made a
is-
browser source.
And
Ignore
then
that.
I love those two.
All right, guys.
That's
Good
it.
luck. We have 10 racers on the track, and the race has started.
That is the
Yeah.
best one right there. Yes.
Mhm.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
circle.
Those two were pretty good. The rest, not so much.
I think there should be like a wee.
No, because that
thing in
one
the background.
like tells a story. Like you.
Those are nice
pointing at you.
toes you have. Are they made for digging?
Fucking hell,
They're
where did
definitely
that
good
come
concepts for
from?
ideas.
Again, Elmo just comes
Well,
out
it's
fucking
all
left field.
unlicensed
You weren't
stuff.
here for that night.
Or was he?
Just kind of happened, dude.
Elmo's
The
out.
Tex is in the lead? Or is it artist? I'm not sure. They're all bouncing all over the place. Who will take the lead? Oh, might be Desi. Artist. Tex. Tex and artist are fighting for the lead. And artist gets it, and Tex gets second. Okay, this is how this one works. There is a end bowl that's laying on its end. And everybody's headed to the end there. There you go, there you go. Fourth Rainbow Road. Rigged? It is rigged. Artist won. It's totally rigged. GG, artist. Congrats. And we're on to race number 5. Let's go. Beautiful angelic abyss. Exclamation play. So are you saying, Dreams?
For like another fucking 20 days.
Are you saying it's pay to win,
What?
Dreams?
Oh,
Yes,
no,
that's what he's saying.
yeah.
Hold on,
No,
he's just
no.
dreaming. He's dreaming.
Unless you can prove it, keep your mouth shut.
It's not pay to win.
Hey,
Anyways,
God.
T, you
I
don't have
will-
to actually open.
look, if
the
I
game.
done a fucking 10 sub donation,
Dreams, I saw you open
I
up
mean-
then I
Marbles
guarantee
with
you,
stream.
then
Prove
I
it.
guarantee
Prove
I'd
it.
win the next game.
Or
Prove
it takes one person.
Joe, what is them?
Let's
I
not
don't
get
know the opening
semantics, alright?
You don't.
Let's
You
go
don't
with
have
this.
to open.
We don't want to make
Marbles with
Dreams
stream.
broke.
Nah,
have to hit,
fucking look. I got fucking
Maybe we
relative
do.
appease.
We don't want to make
Alright.
Dreams
Simple
broke.
play.
I mean, maybe
Exclamation play, guys.
Not in the fucking
Don't
run-up
go
to it,
digging
surely.
further than pizza toast before I get back, okay? I'll be right back.
Pizza
Look,
toast.
It's on my.
I want
only
pizza
feed.
now. Although I still think a sub sounds better. Sub sandwich.
A sub is better.
Have
for
a pizza sub with pepperoni.
Crazy
Ooh.
to have
Those are pretty good.
tacos.
I'm pretty sure they call that just a
A meatball sub?
sub.
Or
Because
an
none of us have
Italian?
it.
Yeah.
With all the
It's a
salami and
host
stuff?
based.
And pepperonis?
That'd be a
You just
pizza
have to
sub.
go to-
The only thing you're missing
Anybody
is
that
just
does not like a
banana.
pizza toe is a pizza foe.
For show.
Shia?
You heard it, brother.
fine.
That's so cute. Oh
I'm
my god,
fine.
they're all so good.
And it.
I kind of
They're
like the
all good,
last
but
one
the
you did
one
because
I
she's so angry.
Yeah.
No, the last one is very sassy.
Yes, I like it.
I guess
So
it's up to you. It's not mine.
how do I input my Marvel into the race?
Oh, you
Uh,
just have to hit
you go
exclamation.
Exclamation play.
All right, I'll show you one more design they did while we're here.
You got the Kimono's,
Yeah,
you got
bitches.
the Kimono's,
That would make a lot of
Twitch
sense.
channel. On the
All
Kimono's
right,
dis-
this is the one they're
Twitch
calling
channel,
very sassy.
And under the kind of
This one.
send message,
It's pretty
at the bottom,
sassy looking. Just like
exclamation play, and then your number.
I like that one a lot, actually.
I do. It reminds me of Marin from My Dress Up Darling. She's so cute.
I need to turn people down now. What are you
I'm
saying?
gonna go exclamation
All the
play.
hacks.
You have to wait until the next the
Yeah.
next round starts.
Yeah,
I can't do it now.
that's me. You don't need to
Yeah,
see
like-
me. There we go.
And
That's my new
there's certain
My new
numbers.
portrait.
So you're saying
I mean, that's
My
pretty
new-
good, right?
my
That's a
new
pretty good
VTube model. Yeah.
So you can't do 55.
That's what I need is
because
like
there's
a
only
VTube
certain,
model that when you hit
you'll-
certain
you'll find
commands,
out
those
when it
words
comes- when it
pop
turns
up
up.
big above, you know. Instead of the head pats and all that, you got the big words hacks that pop up above my head, like I'm
So-
yelling it.
It's like exclamation 1 through
Rigged.
10 or 1 through
Hello!
13 or whatever it might
Super
be.
cute. It is, right?
So you do.
They're having so much fun.
Not
I think it's cute. Alright. Splints is winning. Splints is winning. I think. He's right? Let's see. I think he's got it. Go Splints! Oh, you just stop up there? How do you fall down? Oh, like that, I guess. He found his way down. This is a really colorful artistic track. GG Splints! Congrats on the win. Here comes Tex, Wiggles, Shane, Rikes, Michigan. Yeah, he's using his hacks because he stepped away, right? Call hacks. Hacks. I just point to it and click on it. Hacks. Ah. GG. Splints, Wiggles, and Rikes. That's great, right? All right, let's go. You know. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. Exclamation play. "55 seconds on the clock. Let's go. Welcome, T. We're glad T's here. T made it. Tex and T. Mono. Oh my gosh. Wrong thing, but yes. Hi, Joffrey. No farts, no farts, no farts. Girls don't fart or poop. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like the darker background.
I beg to differ. Shane, those are secrets that you have to keep. That's like what is it? Patient secrets. You can't share the patient secrets. What do they call it? Doctor, patient, confidentiality, or something or other. Yeah, that thing. You can't
So
share those secrets,
you
Shane.
look at the top right hand corner.
Oh no!
Underneath
Huh?
Mono.
Can I play? Nope.
I can see me, but my marble does not know the way.
Your marble does not know the way.
This is not the way. This is not the way.
It's like dark in here.
Not the way.
Mono,
He's in the
your
dark.
Grand romantic.
He's in the
He doesn't
upside
know how to
down.
get out.
It's dark.
Mono.
Yes, dreams.
What's up,
Marble
Marble?
doesn't know where to go. It's usually
See your
dark.
grand romantic thing that you've got
Somebody help him, please.
on the top. Can you move that to the other side?
He's in the
No.
dark.
Yeah.
It would take effort.
There you go.
An effort is not.
Look
an
at,
effort.
look at him go. The little
Sorry about
tracker.
that.
I'm so proud of him.
Oh yeah,
My
his
little-
little bowl is just rolling all by itself.
That's the feed
Oh,
thingamajiggy.
yeah.
It's the Canadian,
Market
it's the
beginner's luck.
the Irish here.
Beginner's luck. Oh fuck
Like
You
Canadians
should probably
against
put it in
Irish.
here.
Steve, you get first here, mate. I'm
Sorry,
out.
did you call me Canadian?
No,
No,
What?
Joffrey.
You put it above me.
talk about me, not you.
Nah.
Until, until
If
you.
Put it right there.
become
I'm just gonna
instructed.
rearrange all the
T get-
things.
If T
I
gets
won't
first
flutter
here,
my
catch.
feathers.
oh,
If you're catching Pokemon, poke catch, guys. Joffrey is now in the lead, followed by 6 and T. T has not given up yet. He hopes to catch back up and get back in first place. Artist, you need more balls. Ah! GG! Welcome. Congrats, Joffrey! Joffrey, followed by T and 6 and Shane. Joffrey with the beginner's luck, followed by T, who was determined to get first and almost had it. Next lap is the last lap of the Grand Prix, so make sure you get in on this one if you want to be at the top of the podium. Let's go. Twisted Insane Asylum. Alright. Exclamation play! What is that? I don't know where the sound was coming from. I think it's coming from the game. Why is the game so loud? This particular map has music, apparently. Okay, there we go. That particular map has music, and it's very loud, so I turned it down for a minute. Exclamation play, there's 20 seconds left. Let's go. How do I show off my balls? I zoom in on them for you. Just, you know, cameras, live action. Let's go. That thing is so loud. I don't know why. Okay, I turned that off. This is the only map we've been on that has music. Where do I start? Balls. I'm new here. They're called marbles. And if you polish them really well, you might get first place. You gotta use that surfboard wax stuff, apparently. You made an achievement. You unlocked Kimono tonight, apparently.
fucking brilliant. I love it.
She's gone.
I think it's fucking brilliant.
What a week. Alright,
Absolutely
guys.
unlocked.
GG.
I didn't win.
Artist is in the lead.
Congrats, artist. Artist with all the hacks.
Artist has the best balls here. I'm just saying.
Are y'all ready for the podium? Are you ready?
Y'all ready for this?
No.
You did. Good. You hear that? Artist polished her ball. So good.
Well, she went to my wax.com and she finally found the right marble.
Dude, you're wearing the academic shirt over there. Very nice. I haven't seen one of those
Let's
in a
go.
while.
Joe, don't kid
Third
yourself. No
place
one's
goes
ever found you
to
Well,
Wiggles with third place on the podium.
it's so good.
Let's find
I'm
out.
absolutely loving it. I fucking I
Critters,
picked
you're
I
jumping.
Wiggles.
If I can
all the
hear.
stuff
Doesn't
that
have
I,
one.
I, I, like, I'm
Second
just gonna
place
start
goes
this straight off
to
the bat.
Tex.
I fucking
Hey, hey,
picked that
hey, hey!
number.
Podium,
Wiggles came
podium,
in and
podium.
fucking stole my number.
Who's
It's
first?
Tex on number 2 with the
Tex.
8
Wiggles
ball.
stole my
And
number.
First
first
Wiggles stole
place,
that
will it be
number, and then
Dreams? Will it be
well,
Dreams?
he seems like he's
Will it be
fucking
Dreams?
like a
Dreams,
player.
dreams,
He's gonna
dreams,
take that
dreams,
number.
dreams,
He's only
dreams,
green.
dreams,
Stole that number.
He hasn't stopped
dreams,
talking yet. He hasn't figured it out yet.
dreams.
I had to
still talking.
resort. I had to resort to number
I
one.
don't know how to listen either.
I had to resort to number one, and
No,
you know where number one
Shane.
got me?
Shane's got the hacks tonight on the podium again.
We can celebrate
Shane
that.
GG.
needs a fucking knockback. Shane
Good
needs
job,
to
good
stop
job, good.
donating because
Good job, Shane. Good job. All the hacks. We have, as the total scores go, we have Shane, Tex, Wiggles, Rice. Rice, you were, I just called you Rice. Sorry, Rice. I just called you Rice. Apparently you're Rice now, not Rice. You were in 4th place, followed by Dreams, Splints, Artist, Zebra, Joffrey, T6, Michigan, Battlecat, Shocky, Crowley, Cat, Lady Rain, and Desi. Hey, look, I do not have my hacks on tonight. It is proof I got 16th place. I need to bring in groceries. Oh no, we'll go get groceries. Guys, we should take a quick break again. This is a good point to take a quick break. So grab your beverages and then we'll do another Grand Prix. I'm gonna go refill my drink, all those things. So I'll be right back, guys. Be right. You know what? Be right back. I'm
That's what you
back.
just said.
I just
Let's go. We are back. We are live. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Let's build a new set of races for the podium. Grand Prix. Gonna run some more community laps. Gonna pick some more zero eliminations. And grab these. Let's see. None of these races are over. We don't have any crazy 6-minute races. That's good. This is what we're gonna be running. Are you okay, Rain? Sending loves, Rain. Sending loves. Oh, Blitzel. Poke catch the zebra. Alright, here we go. Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track, guys. Exclamation play. And you know what time it is. Let's go. It
You
is
have
10:21.
a beer? Nice.
See.
Si, senora.
My cerveza.
I wasn't trying to be a dick,
No,
but
no, he's
I
talking to
understand
you.
French and
See,
Spanish
Papi.
and French are very similar.
Hi,
No.
puppy.
Oh no.
Oh wow.
That route
everyone
even
here
in
is
a
super
different
happy
language.
to listen.
You guys are nuts. They're now speaking
Papi,
Spanish
Daniel?
over here, and now they're
Papi,
getting
Daniel?
sus in Spanish, just to give you a heads up.
We're also speaking French as well.
I don't
Let's
know
see.
anything
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
It's Italian.
They're gonna just speak all the languages. I blame the bird, the Duolingo bird.
I don't know anything
Konnichiwa.
Go on and say my
Don't put the Kool-Aid, motherfucker.
We're just not gonna understand each other. We're gonna each choose a different language tonight so that we don't understand each other.
Yeah, I'll start speaking Irish in a bit.
Yeah.
And then,
Only thing I know is slightly
don't think
romantic.
stop speaking
but
English.
Can speak.
You're gonna
Irish.
choose Latin. Shane's gonna choose Latin.
the only
I'm gonna
thing
choose. I don't know what I'm gonna
also know-
choose. I would say Japanese, but I know more Spanish than Japanese.
The only thing
Yeah,
I
I
slightly
probably
know.
know more Japanese.
Franya.
The only thing I
Hope-
slightly know
hope
to be
no.
romantic. I'll slant you that. The only thing I
All
slightly
right.
know to be romantic.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Ooh, don't tell anybody Rain is in the lead. T, did you make it in? I don't know. You might have just missed it. I'll have to get you in on the next one. I don't think I made it. Artist didn't make it either. No. I'm sorry, guys. You got left behind. No. Next race. Next race. We'll get you in. Rigged? Yes. It's always rigged. All right. All right. Cheers. Can you shower because I gotta get up early? Oh, I feel that. I need to get up early-ish. So with that, it's like a homemade attempt at a sangria. It's white wine with cider and orange juice. It's no shrimp. Oh my god. Discord asked if it's shrimp. I'm like, nope. Congrats, Shane. Can we talk about this? I think Shane's gonna get top of the podium again. Is that like all the luck? He needs to go buy a lotto ticket. I'm telling you. He's gonna play a lotto ticket. Shane Tex Cat. Definitely rigged. Pot of greed. I love it. Exclamation play to get your marbles on the track. Exclamation play. You have 60 seconds on the clock. Let's go. Why did I hit poke catch? I think I meant to hit play. I knew that. It's exclamation play, not poke catch. That's the thing. I'm not sure about. I just need another sip. I'm not hydrated enough. Oh. Nice. That smile. Mm-hmm. Rigged. So yeah. Alright. With the black ears, black shirt. Mm-hmm. Actually, I have a black kimono. What did you do, Splits? What did you do? You loaded in a link?
It did not work though.
Yeah? It didn't like the link, did it?
It will totally hack you.
We can't see it. I can't see it, so.
Don't click it.
I can't see it anyway. I can't click it.
Oh my god, please stop that. Please stop.
Don't click. Don't click his link.
Yeah, about to say,
I have that guy open.
about to say it's inside, you know.
No, I think dreams. We lost dreams.
Still funny.
We lost dreams.
Look at the Discord.
Yeah, I saw it. It's good.
Oh my god.
I'm so far behind.
Rigged.
Wait,
Oh.
can you delete my message, please?
It's surely rigged.
I know what you're
don't think
doing.
Ladies here anymore.
Yeah.
She may be listening. Who knows?
It's those two right there. Those are the winners.
Let's see. I don't think we can see it, but I can clear chat.
I like the sass, I guess, because she likes the sass.
Oh, I think rigged is better than
lady,
the hacks.
what?
Yeah, it's the rig where
I
it's
mean, the
like,
hacks is cool. Cause
Well,
I
it's not
love
our
the whole
decision.
like, but
Yeah.
That's all
it's
There.
dangerous.
If you have better TV, you can still see it, but I cleared chat.
Woo!
I don't even know what you
That
posted.
was that. That's not that dangerous. But
I think if
I don't know, the arm in an upward angle.
Oh,
my
oh,
God.
oh, look at this. Look at the winner.
Text.
The winner.
Oh my God. I
The
hope
winner
I
is
got
on
it.
fire.
Yeah, I
That
think
is
she's
great.
It's rigged.
One.
what?
Once.
Nothing.
The winner
I'll see you in a
is
minute.
is Lady Rain. GG.
I think if we
yeah,
were to,
this
like,
is
do, like,
called mod
our
privilege.
rigging out,
Mod privilege.
Okay, Tex, your camera is.
Something like that. No chat first. Race number 3 of 7. Let's go. Twisted Loopy Twist. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. You have 60 seconds. Let's go. This one's definitely got lots of twists and loops to it. They weren't wrong when they named it that. Alright, we're gonna look in here though. Exclamation play, hurry, hurry, hurry! Exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys. Oh my gosh, Wills! Thank you so much for gifting a sub to the artist maze. gifted subs. 10 of 10 in the channel. Woohoo! Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. $27 total subs. Dang. Thank you guys. And get some hype in the chat. Thank you for the Nico Nico-nies. Okay. Wiggles is speaking. Wiggles has the floor.
All right, go ahead.
It is next Friday. It is my wife's birthday.
Aww.
And we are going to be out and about. And she specifically asked if at some time throughout the night we can log into Discord and
please do.
And say hi.
we're gonna be like,
Yeah.
and say hi.
Do
so
You know, it's
so
my
September
birthday.
12th.
Just tell me what
Next
night
week
it
Friday.
is, and I will make
Friday.
myself
It's Friday.
available.
Next week Friday.
Friday.
Next week Friday. I'm not.
Thank you for the hype. Thank you, Six. All right, there's Desi. Desi's taking shortcuts. December 12th. Okay. Go, go, go. All the things. Endless whiskey sounds good. Oh, you don't see this. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. That didn't happen. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. I didn't have. Well, you see nothing. You see nothing. That didn't happen. Okay. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. 60 seconds on the clock. Let's go. Let's go. We have 9 marbles on the track. 9 competing for the podium win. We have Splints. We have Cat. We have Battle Cat. We have Shane, Wiggles, Tex, Artist, Michigan, and Desi. Let's go. Oh, and we have Joffrey. Welcome to the races. Let's go, everyone. Good luck. We have 10 now. Yeah, good luck. Cheers. This race is 1 minute 40 seconds. It depends on, they're all set up. I already preset them up. I'm not sure how long the next one is. Because I picked all 7 in advance. Queen. Ooh. Who's the queen? Go Artist. Artist takes the lead, followed by Wiggles and Splints. Oh no! Splints jumps in front of everyone and steals the lead. We have Splints in first, followed by Wiggles and Artist going back and forth, trying to steal the lead. Oh, and things are shaking up. Did I see Desi? Did I see somebody fall through even faster? Who is in the lead now? Artist is back in the lead. Or is it Wiggles? I don't even know. Oh my gosh, there's like a 5-way tie right now. Look at this. Can we say 5-way tie? Welcome, Silent. Thanks for the hype. Drink water. Okay. This might be water. It might be vodka. I'm not telling you. All right, they made it loose. They made it loose. There they go. Oh, and Battlecat comes out of nowhere and steals the win. That's totally sounds like a Battlecat. Right? He's got all the hacks. Battlecat has all the hacks. But yeah, welcome Silent, welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good evening and a happy Friday. Let's go! Of course. Let's see. Okay, race 5. Race 5. Unleashed Rolling Wonders. Exclamation play to get your marble on the track. 60 seconds on the clock. Also, poke catch. Okay. Let's see. So you guys are wrapping and waxing to win. That's what I hear in Discord. Wrapping and waxing to win. So I passed out and woke up with my glasses on, my main lights still on, and no covers on. Were you freezing? You were really tired. To pass out like that, you were really tired. Oh, did I lose Discord again? It got really quiet. I bet Discord's flaking out again. Oh, yep, everybody's frozen. I'm gonna have to take another screenshot of their frozen faces. Discord did this to me earlier. Just completely locked up and froze. Stream's not affected, but Discord is. Interesting. Let's see. And I just have to leave. And then, they're gonna think that they were just so rowdy I had to leave. That's what it was. Let's see. But I'm gonna send this beautiful screenshot. And then I'm gonna do some magical work here on Discord and in task real quick. I don't know why it's doing this tonight. It never does this. Lily Leap has been caught by text. Shade! Oh my gosh, it's a wild Shade. Welcome to chat. Welcome, Shade. Welcome to the stream. Cheers, man. It's so good to see you. I hope you made it home. Welcome. Oh, we just missed it. Dreams just made it into their first place. Dreams, GG Dreams, followed by Cat, Shane, Michigan, Wiggles, Battlecat, Desi. Let's go. But yes, welcome home, Shane. Looks very tasty. It is very tasty. I'm drinking it way too fast, too. I just made it home, but you gotta go pick up your mom for me, Ants. Well, good luck. Please be safe. Please be safe. And GG Dreams. GG. Alright, next leg of the race is fantastical fun. Yes, it is. I've been making some sangrias tonight, so I've had some homemade, just mixing what I have around the house to make some sangrias. But yeah, exclamation play to get your marble on the track, guys. This race is starting with 60 seconds on the clock. Let's go. All right, let me see if stream is going to, or if Discord's going to behave itself. This second time it's done this tonight. It's kicked me out of Discord, but stream's fine. Oh, only sangria? Nothing stronger? Nah, just some sangria tonight. And some water. Or vodka. You never know. Just kidding. It truly is water. It was wine earlier. Alright, let me see if I can join back into my voice chat with all the shenanigans and see if it actually picks me up. Poor Water, you keep drinking her. I don't think she minds. I'm back. I'm back. We are live.
I almost said some offensive stuff.
What happened to T? T changed.
He'll be right back.
T looks so different right now. I'm so confused. Oh, did you?
No.
I think he
no,
might
no.
walk in
he
here.
might need to take a poo.
Do you know? Did you see, guys? Did you see? I posted your frozen faces again before I left.
No,
I did.
King of the jungle.
I had to post your frozen faces again. Okay, I should catch up to the race here. Oh, we didn't need me to catch up to the race. There's hacks going on. This is why we weren't watching the race.
Than I expect to be. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm the king of the jungle. No.
Is it general or?
Jesus Christ.
You don't understand.
Voice chat.
Wise.
Chat.
I'm showing up on 2 channels,
Ooh.
and I tell you what, both of them were handsome as fuck.
Why you doubled? How the heck?
Look, don't be bothered with me.
Is that because one of those is actually T?
No, if you look at
one of us is T.
Okay, that's how that happened.
It might look like somebody else.
Yeah.
Not really.
He's so
You guys are
sullen,
crazy.
like everybody, it's hilarious.
Okay, I missed it.
Got me quite yet.
Discord's being weird.
There's fucking Aiden
However,
twice.
I think he did get a picture of this room without me in it a day or two ago. So
if you
might
look,
be a
look
But here's the question, Silent. Did you get some good sleep? I know you fell asleep like that, but did you sleep like a rock, and was it good sleep? Sleep is important. I'm jelly. I want some sleep. I'm probably gonna sleep really good tonight. Look at Shane in the lead. Go, Shane! Followed by Artist and Battlecat, Wiggles and Cat. There's Desi and Splints. Oh no! This dang hair curler comb thingy has caught everyone. I don't know. It looks like a hair curler comb thingamajiggy. You know, like those brushes that are made for curly hair or whatever, but they don't do anything but get your hair in knots and you can't get the brush out. But, you know. You ever get a hold of one of those as a kid? It's like a nightmare and you never use it again because you got stuck in your hair. You're like, okay. Okay.
It's really quite
We have Discord
Oh,
shenanigans. Oh, Desi! GG, Desi! Followed by Battlecat. Battlecat's got the
rig. Why am I the
rig.
only one that got kicked out? Can I ask? Why am I the only one that
I don't know. You jumped out of
I DNF'd.
the basket?
Oh, well, that happens. I mean, that's fucking marbles, dude.
I love the door, T. I love it. You've got the skinny door. We will always and forever remember the skinny door because T has a picture of it.
Okay. Seriously, though,
GG.
that is a skinny
Because
door.
you're
It's not
adopted,
like
that's
a
why.
myth. It's skinny.
Okay, last race. Boosted Carefree. Let's go.
If you need me to go stand in front of it with my shoulders wide,
Do it.
we'll do that. But... All right. Somebody take a picture.
We just want to see your body.
Oh my god, did you really?
Yes.
Did you really?
Exclamation play. Look at you. Oh, look how skinny Splints is. That is a skinny door. Look at that.
He's doing it too. He's doing it. Okay. He move a little. Yeah, right there. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That is fantastic. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, did somebody take a snap of that? Oh.
No, I did not.
You didn't think.
Waves and hugs, everyone. Thank you, Silent. We're full of shenanigans today. Will I have you all to enjoy the marbles and away back to sleep?
Geez, that's awesome,
Okay,
man.
Silent, get some
What a great
sleep.
thing you got
I
there.
hope it works out for
What's
you.
funny to me is that his
Stay warm, man. Use the covers.
kind of yellow.
That's where that these close.
Like on my side, it's
The
yellow.
mess.
It's very gray. If I was green, I would die.
Da da dee da da dee da dee. Oh.
And this is why we're friends.
Oh. How tall is that door? Is that like 4 yeets tall or something?
4 yeets.
Don't know.
Yeets is now a
The
yeet
door. How tall is the door?
Excuse me, the door is normal height, but the width is only my shoulder width.
Is it how many yeets wide is it?
It's a quarter knee.
Quarter knee. Okay. It's not even half a knee. It's only a quarter knee.
24-inch door.
Half a knee. It's a quarter knee.
That's a 24-inch door.
Dude, I can't believe he's over there like trying to actually measure it in virtual. Like,
Still love it.
That is so good. That is crazy. Oh my god.
He's like, well, you know.
How is he even still awake at this point?
I mean, Dreams is awake, so.
It's occupied.
Yeah, that's normal for Dream.
Oh, yeah. There you go. I didn't get a very good photo of it, though.
Oh, it's disappeared. You make surprise.
That's good.
We
That's
have
so good.
Shane and Joffrey and Splint fighting over the
right there.
lead,
Snap it,
followed
snap
by
it. Somebody,
Shocky, Wiggles. Let's go!
That's so good.
I can't do it.
That's perfect. And you're like right there in position.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Put
That's
your hands
so
up.
good.
Like at chest height.
Like,
Put your
what's
hands
going
up.
on there? Like, be like, what's
Yeah,
going
that
on?
one, that one.
So we can't see your arm. That disappears.
Yeah.
You gotta bring your hand
You have
back.
to keep your arm the same distance from the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Back your arm up.
All
Back a
right.
little bit.
Is Battlecat gonna steal this
There.
win? No, it's gonna be Wiggles. Wiggles in the win. It's gonna get the win.
Let's go.
We're gonna call it.
For the win.
Bring your hand. Like go do the knock again.
Nope. Shocky's in the lead. What happened? We turn a corner and like 4 people pass Wiggles. This is getting weird.
Yeah.
GG, Shocky.
I did not win.
Oh no.
You said this is the last one, right?
Yeah, this is it. This is it. We're gonna announce the podium. The podium winners are. Can I get a drum roll? You called it! Oh my gosh, you called it. It's Desi. Okay, who's getting second? You gotta call it, Wiggles. You got the first one right.
I don't know.
All right. It's Shane with second place. Shane has been on the podium, like, I think, like, every round. GG.
Yeah.
You know why Shane's
First place goes to...
Because he fucking paid too much.
Oh! No, we haven't seen that all night.
Oh,
Why?
wow.
Why?
Wow.
Look
Why?
at the grand majestic ball just sitting there and spinning at the top of the podium. Like, just going off. Yeah. Put your halo on there.
Yeah,
Put
just
your halo back on.
just throw my wings up. Just throw my wings up. Go. Oh. GG. Oh.
Where's that hacks emoji? Where's that hacks emoji when you want it? Where's that
Stop showing off, right? Thank you so much for gifting Desi a sub. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate it.
Keeps going like.
Oh.
Ah, but See when he's
Okay, okay, okay. We're gonna pick
when he's far away, it doesn't matter.
one, at least one final race of the night. So absolutely very, very, very rigged. Okay, yes, definitely very rigged.
Oh yeah, super rigged, but only on one race. Come on now.
Letty.
Punch it up. Punch it up.
Come on.
Let's do it. Let's do this one.
Just real quick, Mono.
No.
I'm gonna.
Oh, maybe I have to do two. I don't know. Let's go back.
Just give me a moment. Have you ever
Draco,
done the battle
the
one
ultimate
where
street
everyone battles?
Yeah, I have. Let's see. Ooh, let's do the target.
With their 60-second
Target hits the spot.
sub.
Thanks for the gifted sub. Yeah.
Sorry, from Latin.
Thank you, Shane, for gifting Desi a sub. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very much appreciated.
Support is as diverse as your commands. Here's to more hacks and pogies in the future.
Well,
Is that
Spence,
pogies or poggies? I don't know.
Spence, what I was
I think it's
referring
poggies.
to is
Pogies.
Pogies? I don't know.
Pogies are fish that stink when they die on the shore.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, they smell
Okay,
bad.
pogies.
All right, X-Nation Play. This is the last race of the night, guys. Last race, and then I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it. Just gotta get up kind of early tomorrow.
Exclamation. Copy pasta.
All right, hurry, hurry,
Pick
hurry!
a number. And
60 seconds on the clock. Thank you guys for an awesome Friday night. Thank you for playing. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Wiggles. Don't worry about me.
Oh my God! Did he sit in? Did he sit in Jamie's background? Oh, I'm sorry. That's so great.
That's weird.
We're so fucking strange.
Okay. You gotta. Okay. Capture Mono.
Okay, do
right
you
now
know
in her.
who caused
Oh
all of
my
this?
gosh.
It was Frasier.
All right, here we go. Race is
Frasier
starting.
I'm gonna win this. By the way, just so y'all know, I'm winning this podium.
You're calling it.
Right
You're
now.
gonna win it.
Right now. Right now. I win. I win.
Hold on.
Right now, I win. I'm gonna win it all. We're not gonna allow Mono to even be on the podium.
Is T sitting in Jamie's lap? I'm just curious.
Is this a fucking like?
T might be Jamie.
He might be.
You never know with the Lannisters.
The fact that she just noticed that after
Jimmy T.
I'm on multiple screens. I need more screens.
Yeah.
I need more screens.
No. My friend.
Cheers.
That you said that.
I didn't know he liked anime.
Dude, that is so good.
I think he likes the same ones as you. Y'all might be the same person.
Like the exact same ones as you.
Jimmy, get out of my room.
All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Who's gonna win? Oh, this is so rigged. This is messed up. Okay, better not be me. Somebody better get closer. Oh, it's definitely rigged if BattleCat gets it.
To be fair, you've been on par with me when.
Yeah, GG BattleCat with all the wins. Totally rigged tonight.
Fucking god.
GG. All right, we're gonna end tonight with some a raid. So get ready. We're gonna raid, and we're gonna go cat raid, and we're gonna here's some. If you have my emotes, go for it. Let's see. Just use this. And if you don't have my emotes, just do something like this. Let's see. What do I got? There you go. If you don't have my emotes, you can go like this. There you go. Okay, right. So copy and paste whichever one works for you. And you can use that link and get ahead to the stream. And get over there. And then I'm going to hit all the magical. The sauce show. Another marbles streamer playing marbles. But yes, you can raid with a sandwich. Sandwich works. Sandwich works good. The copy pasta. Alright, but thank you again. Good night, all. I will catch you guys next stream. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. Good night.